popey. Niggas on the popey. Niggas on the cokie. Niggas on the cokie.
More poor. It's expensive to live in the city. Okay, let's keep going. She wondered if Trump was going to break his promise to make IVF free, and if it wouldn't even matter if he did. I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think he's gonna make IVF free, to be honest. Her husband sat beside her and squeezed her hand, still processing. Together they had been counting. 16 days till they could try again. 28 until she could take her next test. After she was sexually assaulted at 16, she swore she would never be caught unprepared, but here she was, betrayed by her body, which would not cooperate, betrayed by her family, which was supporting firing federal workers like her, and perhaps most painfully betrayed by herself. Rip. Ripperoonie, 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 yeah. Agarizer, you're still not replying to what I'm saying. Fucking hell, dude. Put Naomi in the breeding camp and give Dev a trans jib. I remember Brianna Wu was like, it's rather unfair that Naomi is hogging a guy who actually likes trans women when they're so rare. And like, that wasn't her coming on to me because she's like 50 and has a husband, but it's still really funny. It's actually really, really funny.
Listen, I didn't actually know that you fetishize trans women so much before I started dating you.
But I knew that you did.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. Sean King, $5. So Canada can win trade war by causing a recession for Trump. Also, you missed my last supper chat. Supper chat. I'm sorry, dude.
No, didn't I reply to it?
You might have.
No, wait.
Sean King.
No, there it is.
I had to learn about this in biotech.
No, we didn't.
Bovine. You know, we talked about that, man. We talked about that one. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. I said that it changes. If you have to use, like, if you gotta kill the baby cow to make lab-grown meat, then I'm not pro lab-grown meat. And jump back like 5 conversations.
In fairness, Dev, the person I voted and chose poorly has been negative affecting everyone for the last 4 years and for longer. It remains to be seen if this is the lesser of two evils. I guess we'll see. We will see, dude. We will see. Okay, anyway. Yeah, like, Trump is not going to make IVF free. That is not in line with cutting costs from the government because IVF is expensive.
So expensive.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, like, I'm not pro IVF. I don't know how controversial of an opinion that is. I'm not pro it at all. But,
okay.
Like, I did not realize how expensive it was.
Yeah, it's very expensive.
Like,
it's very fucking expensive,
so expensive. It's crazy.
At JG, with 877 cash now. Thanks, Jay Goodman. J.S. Goodman, thanks, man. But yeah, like, Trump promised a lot of shit, and the right-wingers are just ignoring the fact that the promises are getting, like, largely ignored. And by the way, that's kind of par for the course, because Biden promised to cure cancer, and the right-wingers remember that, and the left-wingers don't. But now it's happening in the other direction, right? Trump promised to make IVF free. Left-wingers remember that, the right-wingers don't. You know, that's just kind of how this is, you know?
Dev, the counter to your argument is that you want more private sector jobs, not public sector jobs, which in turn increases taxes and everything to afford public sector jobs. I did not say that well, but I said it.
I get it. I mean, you want both, right? Like, I'm not this strict free marketeer. Some things actually are just better if they're public sector. It really depends on the job. There's a lot of factors that go into it. But I agree, like, we do want more public and private sector jobs. I agree with you there.
Boo. 50 mix. Motherfucker, I told you to sell me the pony pleasure, and you never responded because you don't check your fucking DMs, you effing leaf. Sell it to me already.
Hi, Boog. How's it going, dude? What's up? Boog, people were saying in the chat that you've like taken up some anti-dev positions in other Discord. You're going around and you're attacking dev fans.
No, he's just attacking dev fans with his
You know what? Yeah, yeah, that's fine. We'll talk about it after stream. Okay, yeah, sounds good. Also, thanks, buddy.
Also, is the pony pleasure the thing I think it is?
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay.
Okay. Cooper did not want to think about what happened 3 months prior, but her mind went there anyway. To the voting booth in Baldwin's town hall, where she filled out every part of the ballot before turning to the box and said presidential.
Just a little bit of checking on Dev before I get started. Manik! Fucking in and out and all about this fucking week, man. Racism and bigotry chat. Not even once. Not even once. Ugh. How are we feeling, party people? What time is it? It is 3:04. Was there anything new posted to podcast? No, so I should be up to date on everything that I had prepared. Cool. Another opportunity where I began slightly, well, not necessarily slightly behind schedule. I made the choice to play Marvel Rivals. I slammed with J Funky. However, there was also a strong thunderstorm that could have potentially formed a tornado in my area last night. That began at around midnight and subsided at around 3:23 in the morning. So, like, I was going to be able to sleep through it once I was done playing the video games, but someone decided that, no, I don't get to sleep because they need to harass me about shit that's not important. And therefore, any type of fucking bed rest that I had after the birthday party of the bouncing baby piglet was stolen from me. He will be 2. We had to celebrate like the days before the birthday prosper, but everything was great. It was wonderful. Unfortunately, the only thing that went wrong with that is like the company did not get the correct size cake that we intended. So the grandma Lala had to basically get on their ass because Pop didn't have the time. There was no way that we were able to get the size cake that we actually needed for him. We did get the cake free though. We did get the cake free. Star's happy, I'm happy. He got a series of more clothes and more toys. Yeah. There is at least that bolster. Alright. Michael. Let's pin the Yappin lobby point. and let's just jump right in to the news segments. Because there was no news this week, and that's because insomnia, with a combination of being nagged constantly, robbed me of my sleep. I was outright robbed of my sleep. It was very annoying. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to try to shotgun these news topics, because I think we have 3 movies tonight for movie night. Yes, movie night was supposed to be yesterday, but at the same time, it's like I did not have the energy after I got back from his birthday party to rip that. So I chose to take the knee. So we are going to do it later after this broadcast. So, since there was no news on Monday and Wednesday, I accumulated the news topics that were being posted, and I have broken them down in order, and we're just going to rip them here on Sunday, and then we will be fresh for new news and updates on that news coverage on Monday. There's maybe only like 2 of these stories that are still concurrently going on, so that is what it is. And on that note, let us begin with the first of those talking points. Which brings us here. Dick Masterson has been desperately trying it. And Eric July, ya boy, the young Roberta 5'9", has been putting his foot in his ass. The last time that he tried doing this was on the Versus chat that we witnessed for Pod Awful, where we witnessed Dick Masterson's butt munch and butt monkey, Vita Swalty, get his shit pushed in by Maya Leonopoulos and Ethan Ralph and the Jesse of the channel Pod Awful, who showed up in the chat room because there was apparently a user that was desperate to try to get him to walk to us as we were watching it. And it has now culminated in a very large thread where, desperate for attention, Dick Masterson tried desperately to complain and bitch and whine and moan because he desperately wants to get attention from the boy. The prosecution made every attempt to contact you, Eric. You and your employees are all served summons at your warehouse on the same day. You email the police every day until they put a warrant on Riley for stalking. Then you, the main complainant, and the victim shall show up for court guaranteeing his release. You engage your employees by dodging the trial. Boop. I'll give you my attention this one time. I know this will be the highlight of your last 5 years, and you'll create a lot of content out of it. Your entire narrative hinges on controlling the conversation while I focus on actually running my business. You don't really have anything else to do, and that works to your benefit. That's why you keep lying to people, desperate, trying to stay in control of narratives. 0 emails or contacts were ignored. The screenshot you're showing, which I've never seen before, doesn't even support your own claim that I stopped responding. If they plan to send me something or drafted it, does not mean that I actually received it, you retard. I was never served. Attached is an email that I received before the trial had completely blown a hole in your argument. No trial ever took place that required us to appear. I never failed to appear. There was no case that I lost. You lied about the entire thing. Your comedic career peaked in a Pizza Hut commercial that didn't even air. Not a single repeatable film, show, or stand-up special to your name. At best, you're a gay podcaster. You built your entire brand piggybacking off of a man you once idolized like a father, Maddox, and when that dried up, you latched onto me. Now you hover, obsess, lie. It's really hard to do this in the style of Eric. His voice is much deeper than mine. While you allegedly enjoy getting pegged in a cow costume, there you go, Carl, and blowing dudes at festivals, you need to find another bull for your affairs. I'm not interested. You got your homosexual ego bruised. One video of me, not even mentioning you, covering your nonsensical review, had you sent into a 2-year meltdown where you've wasted thousands of hours crying about me. You can dish out critiques, but fall apart when yours gets dismissed. You being unimportant irritates you. What really makes you a hoe is how you operate through others, using your pet retard to do your dirty work. You're not some enemy of mine, you're just a low-effort content farmer desperate to leech off of someone with no interest in engaging in this clown show. That's why you run from people like Pod Awful, who actually have the time to clap back. You need another Maddox to stay relevant, because nobody actually cares about you. You can't carry anything by yourself. You're a 40-year-old, unaccomplished, unfunny shock jock who gossips like a schoolgirl for engagement. You hide behind the comedian tag to excuse your lies and retardation. You lied about the pull-up narrative, claiming that I aimed at you, yet still sent a pent retard. You lied about your retard's case. You lied about our charity involvement, even going so far as to tag the IRS and contact the charity like a Karen, injecting yourself into something that had nothing to do with you when there was no malpractice. All for content, because you're boring as shit. And yet, we're still here, still building. That pisses you off. Our success is living proof of just how irrelevant and uninfluential you are. You are a reckless, drug-head, low-impulse, controlled degenerate, surrounded by people who reflect the same traits, constantly running from responsibility, stability, decency, and anything resembling a meaningful legacy. And I'll give you that much. In that regard, you're more of a nigga than I could ever be. This is the only time I'm addressing you. You need me, not the other way around. All that fake libertarian posturing from a guy who was repeatedly acted like a Karen. Contacted the charity to stir up nonsense. Flagged the IRS like a desperate snitch. Tried to push a trademark lawsuit that ended up being resolved amicably. He's openly admitted to trying to destroy my business, and every day that passes without success just makes him angrier. At this point, he's either a bitter woman or homosexual. Effeminate. Either way. 100%. From the top to the bottom. This red to filth. Red to filth. Red to filth. Because this is exactly why we watched that episode, or episodes plural, of Pod Awful. This is the reason why this constant bullshit from specifically Dick Masterson and Viggo Swalty kept going on. Rebelverse is too busy making money to address people like Dick Masterson. Too busy making content, period, to address Dick Masterson. Dick Masterson is trying to grift in the purest sense of the word, as does Viggo Swalty. It is their name brand of how they make content. Antagonize people, kick up dirt, tell people that it's smoke, point them in the direction of the fire that they're supposedly stalking. Then, make yourself relevant by creating content, air quote, through the effort of trying to confuse shock jockey entertainment with actual conversational depth. This is an exact one-to-one of the fucking culture war shit that is happening with video games and the supposed tastemakers that are trying to make themselves relevant. The thing that is important here is that this is probably the best example of what it looks like by somebody who has a business that does not have the time to respond, and a person that has all the time to respond because their business practice requires them to use them for the attention that they otherwise could not pull themselves. Eric has been dealing with this while still making Riververse comics, while still doing, I forgot what the shit was called, something in the Silverback. He's been doing this while still dealing with Dick Masterson being a lolcow. So it is great that he finally is able to give a proper breakdown of everything. Because by addressing Dick Masterson in this way, Dick can use this to still try and clout farm and clout shark. But because he wanted to go out of his way to claim something that isn't real and attempt to bring up shit that isn't real, it requires him to just do the extra work. To just put him to the side, just pull him to the side, and just tap that ass one good time real quick. Just get up here. Boom. Raleigh mixed case disposed. We can't verify that the email came from the sender, so it might mean not to respond. Any hearts at E4 Registrar Services. Name being blogged out because it was sent to someone by the name of Alex for airtjuly.com. I assume the prosecutor has already reached out to each of you, but if I had not, just in the case of being disposed, you will not need to return. You will not need to be here on Tuesday, 1st 25. Have a great day, Danny Harshooth. Badge number 9023, misdemeanor investigator, Collin County District Attorney's Office. Information blacked out. All of this is exactly the energy of what is going on in the culture war in general. You've got attention-seeking lolcows, or individuals aspiring to be lolcows, incapable of staying on topic and on the mark for any of the things that they claim they gotta do. So let's use Grums as an example. Grums is the inverse to Eric, because Grums is incapable of working on his video game. He's got and has had 8 years to make a trademark for Ember. He's had 8 years to deliver on a vertical slice that he claimed would only take 2 years to develop, that he is way past due on. He is incapable of shutting the fuck up about anything that has to do with what he's doing. Let's put that on the screen. He is incapable of staying focused on the opportunities that are provided to him by what he has chosen to get involved in. And where your boy, Eric, is working actively to continue doing his job being producing comics. On the other side of the bend, you have Mark Kern hiding behind anything he can try to use for social relevancy to justify himself behaving how he wants to behave. So right now, on the timeline, we've been dealing with the after effects of Dave, airbagged, one of the many minions around El Supercante, finally having some punishment in the form of his accounts getting sniped out because he is trying to still ban evade and then getting banned out. However, Mark Kern has been desperate to try and festoon on this behavior because he wants to try and capitalize on this. He's been doing it for the last 5 days. Ever since Airbag got banned, the hand on my feet is up 1,000%. They are very bitter. No, what hurt? Where's the other one? There was another one from the other day where he tried to lie desperately. I need to find that one. So another one here. Airbag admits he's been making shit up about me and people have been falling for it. Sigh up for a year. The confirmation of the people who are following Airbag, so you can tell who is the real individuals. He's always being followed by Elizabeth Conte, Mighty Keith, and all of his other accounts. Airbag and his soldiers have put so much time in and effort trying to destroy me. Ask yourself why I'm his number one target. It's because I am too effective. Hope and seethe. Airbag soldiers. This one is the important one here. Okay. Airbag soldiers stole our name, created a pouring him to attack us, created fake X accounts to impersonate us. Airbag's actions don't include someone on Discord impersonating employees and backers, but also launched a game on Steam using our working title to smear us. Well, further, longtime backers know that Ember was never going to be the final name, but they thought and created a Steam entry with attacks on the game to camp myself in the slot on Steam, then creating the fake developer on Steam and X comes and Ember comes to smear us, creating a whole acid flip novel because Ember is a working title, not trademark. Steam will do nothing about it, blah, 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 blah. This is a lie. So, person who is too busy delivering on his work to be concerned with a troll, having to take the time out to respond to a troll. A actual troll, wasting people's time, making up excuses, and outright lying to you because he cannot focus on doing his job. No, Dave, airbagged, he is not behind the troll that was the Ember troll game on Steam. He is putting it onto Dave as to try to put the narrative together for himself, to cry victim as he pisses and shit at himself, posting his L's publicly so that everybody can make fun of him. As annoying as somebody like this individual is, this is not something that he's actually done. Do not believe it. It is not real. Because for all the effort that all of us have done, just being aware that these kinds of people exist, including Drums' opinions himself, we all called out and made fun of the fact that he's been getting his shit clapped out. Because he's just been ban evading, we've been reporting it, is what it is. But this is important to keep up on, because this is the modular way to tell whether or not you are aware of how this is breaking down and how it's going on in real time. Because for all the piss and shit effort that Mark Kern has put into trying to make himself the center of attention, the same way others have tried to do so for the center of attention. So if you really look here, you can see all the regular people are here. Because there's been a back and forth between the salt farmers, like Fratanga and Cassie and the rest of them, individuals like myself that are the shitposters, and the lolcow worthy media figures desperate to do this. We've all been having like a back and forth between all of us, pointing out that they're going for this attempt to make themselves seem more important than they are. And the important thing to take away here is that for all the effort that they have put in to trying to put attention onto themselves, he's still lying. He's still not doing his job. He's still not making his video game. If he ever does, who knows? It's the same with Smash JT. It's the same with anybody else that's trying to grift. Unironically, really, actually, truthfully grift on the timeline. All the people that are being annoying are trying to capitalize on this event. And just to speak on it, just very short. People like Dave are much like Dick Masterson. This will keep going on. It'll be a back and forth. It will never advance forward past this unless all of his accounts get banned. Right? It's good that he's getting his shit banned. But the fact that people like Mark Kern are trying to take credit for things that they did not do so they can try to keep themselves in the news cycle and remain relevant. This is the same as Eric July having to ignore people who are actively not to his benefit because it does not make him money to monetize his hater in this situation. Like, there is no money to get out of Dick Masterson. Not for entertainment value, and not for making fun of him for trying to fuck with his business. He's just a leech. And in that way, giving him attention would actually work against his desire. But for the purposes of protecting himself and ensuring that he can cover what he needs to cover, he has to address this. Simply because this is past the realm of trolling and shit-talking and back and forth fun on the net. This is legal matters. People that he's responsible for protection and employment of depend on him to do his job. So, this is far past internet shit. First off, that's so sad for you. Get fucked, Dick Masterson. And secondly, that's so good for you. Keep beating that ass, our handicapped king. And on the side issue of all those other fuckers, just roll your eyes, and we gonna roll into this next one. This definitely cannot be watched on Twitch. I do not know how long this is.
Fucking pizza.
That is an hour. That is probably not gonna meld. Just move to the next one. To cover that a different day. This one is really annoying.
On February 27th of this year, a young man...
This is a video from Ruin Leon about a news story that happened over the weekend. I see you, baby. This is about a news story that happened over the week and the weekend, starting 6 days ago, about the loss of life of a Rush participant inside of a black fraternity. We're going to watch the entirety of this. For those that are curious about the video in question, it is posted inside of the Discord, inside of Printing Press Express. Let us begin.
On February 27th of this year, a young man named Caleb Wilson, who attended Southern University, tragically passed away, and at the time of his passing, it was described to people who questioned how he passed as him collapsing while playing basketball at the park. However, as the days have gone by and the family has begun their grieving process over losing a loved one, it was revealed that throughout these several days of questioning, Caleb was not involved in a game of basketball, but a fraternity hazing ritual where he was punched in the chest at least 4 times and later seized up and collapsed collapsed due to the impact of the chest, and the people who witnessed this changed his clothes and brought him to the hospital and left before police arrived to start questioning any of the individuals involved. At time of this recording, one of the 3 individuals who were wearing the boxing gloves to punch Caleb and others who are recruits that were initiating in this ritual event have been arrested, with a strong likelihood arrest warrants will go out for the other individuals involved who were wearing the boxing gloves and potentially other individuals who were there also, with Southern University stating that those involved could face expulsion if evidence dictates them as culprits, and all Greek life organizations have been ordered to stop all activity and stop taking in new members for at least the rest of the academic year.
All right, go backwards. Okay, this section right here is really important because I need you to know how fucked this news story is, okay? Because when I first saw this news story, I rolled my eyes because I did not think that this was the black and gold. I thought this was some fucking sick. I thought this was some Q shit. I thought this was Sigmas. So, Greek fraternities. Let's talk about probably the most important one.
Hey, Carl.
Yes, what?
You're not showing this on in the Discord, so anybody that's sitting here.
I know.
Okay.
I know. Something just crawled on my desk and I'm holding it in my fingers. Anyways, I have to put multiple things on the screen, and unfortunately I can't put everything on the screen at once without putting up the OBS there, and then people will lose sound and then they'll complain about sound. 1 second. Okay, so let's talk Greek fraternities real quick. There are sororities and there are fraternities. Obviously, male organizations, female organizations. This is about a male organization. For the video in question, chat, this is about Omega Psi Phi. So, let us go to the fraternities and the sororities that operate inside of North America. Preferably, they have a fucking list. Move this aside. Bring this up. My associations, list. High school fraternities and sororities, collegiate societies. No, it does not have the list that I want. So let's use a list like this. So, you've got different organizations. You've got National Panhellenic, Sigma Chi, Chi Phi, Zeta Psi, Sigma Phi Epsilon, Kappa Sigma, Omega Psi Phi, so on, so on, so on, so on, so on, and so on. All of these fraternities, these are the kinds of organizations that when you try to sell merch about them, when you try to say, I know somebody who's about this, and when you watch any news story involving people being involved with goings on, with any type of business, these are the fraternities that are known for being litigious with their identities, as these are organizations that are the background of networking for business building. It is a very big, serious offense to do something on this level. So, the fraternity in question is Omega Psi Phi. Omega Psi Phi is the historical African American black fraternity. For those that are unaware, this is the purple in gold comparative to the black in gold. They are all about uplifting African American black communities. They have a mailing list in Decatur, Georgia. These individuals make up some of the quintessential brothers that are related to a bunch of shit that has to do with military excellence, community excellence, educational excellence, self-made opportunities and goals, and media outreach, your college endowments, fatherhood and mentoring, big brothers, big sisters, the NAACP, talent hunting, STEM, reclamation and retention, which is probably the biggest one to prevent recidivism in criminal societies. And of course, because I live this close to Stone Mountain, Georgia, fucking social action. You cannot talk about excellence without talking about the fucking purple and gold. So when you hear that a person was a part of a hazing ritual where they were bullied, got punched in the chest, started having heart palpitations, they took the time to try and set him up as though it was an innocent event that took place, and then was at risk of death, then died. This is the kind of thing that should lead to every single member that was involved being exposed, being expelled from the college, and generations of the family being barred from association with the fraternity. This is the kind of thing that would destroy the representation of a group. Now, with fraternities and sororities and their hazing rituals, they vary. Because the argument is, of course, the person in question, if they didn't want to be a part of the event, they didn't have to do the bullying. They didn't have to get involved. They chose to be a rush. Sure, but it's just like getting involved in anything that is a participatory choice. While they might try to consent to the culture of the internals of the organization, these are things that have long since been decided. You don't just come up with a new tactic over time. So this means that this hazing ritual in question, where this is effectively a game of punch buggy. The person puts on boxing gloves and they just keep socking you in your shit. This was a tradition that they were doing. This was not random happenstance where a specific brother decided to come up with a new tactic. They've been doing this for a while. And it's just now been exposed because this time it led to a death and they got caught. Sororities will do something like, you gotta drink a lot of water and then you'll be pissing and shitting yourself because they put fucking laxatives in the water. Also a horrible form of bullying that you should not do. You should not be doing anything that medically fucks with somebody. That shouldn't cause them dysentery, shouldn't cause them confusion, shouldn't cause them shortness and lack of breath. In and up to the limitation of you work them out and stress them out a little bit. Even then, that's too much. So, they were playing a game of Butcher Buggy. The Rush Pledge got into chest palpitations, and the individuals were submitted as a part of the importance of figuring out how to get justice for this young man. The fact that it concludes one of, I would say, 3 of the biggest black organizations, because Omega Sci-Fi is one, and then the other one that I'm thinking of is the Black and Gold, but their name's not coming to my head right now. And then the last one is, of course, the Eastern Seals, or Eastern Stars. To have this be one of the traditional, well-known black fraternities involved in this is indeed some white people shit done inside a black organization. I can't say that in any other way. This is some white people shit. Moving on.
Evidence dictates them as culprits, and all Greek life organizations have been ordered to stop all activity and stop taking in new members for at least the rest of the academic year. Now, this has been a topic of discussion for the past week or so, and it should be no surprise to anyone who's known about this in full detail, and anyone who's watching this and hearing about this for the first time, to hear me say that I hope all the individuals involved end up in jail. Why? Because you participated in something as pointless as hazing, and it led to a young man dying. It does not matter that one of the individuals who's been arrested's lawyer is now running around and saying it wasn't his intention to kill Caleb. What happened was what killed Caleb. Your actions is what led to that young man dying, and saying I didn't have an intent to do it really doesn't help your case. When you are doing something that could potentially lead to someone dying, you do it and then they end up dead. You face the large possibility of facing the consequence of jail time, and I won't feel bad for you. It is annoying to me that there's
God damn it. So, I agree with him. However, it goes a lot further than that. You committed a hazing ritual where you would put people's medical health at risk. You did so in a way that precipitatedly for African Americans, puts them at risk of all of the health issues that are related to blood, heart, lung, face, eyes, and nose health. Because we ain't got the best circulation. It's all the fried chicken you see. It's all that watermelon and fried chicken and Kool-Aid. You gave him the conditions to create heart arrhythmia. You then tried to hide your actions by leaving him for dead in a change of clothes. And then you say, it wasn't my intention. Okay, it wasn't your intention. So why didn't you take his ass to the hospital? The second that his life was at risk, why did you not take accountability? Why did you try to hope that it would be blown over and that you could just close ranks with the Greek fraternity? Brotherhood is when you cause one of your potential brothers to have a heart attack and then you leave him for dead? Damn, ain't that some nigga shit?
There's a lot of society that has given their takes about this, trying to downplay hazing as if it's some ritual that a lot of people must go through in life. No, you don't. Hazing is just another form of bullying, to where people think if it's behind an organization, it's somehow a ritual that everybody signs up to. And yes, people are informed about this, but let's be clear here. If you're going to walk up to me and tell me I should join your association, and to do that, I have to go through a ritual where I potentially have to get punched in the chest, or, yes, this is a true story that has occurred in one of these fraternities, get blindfolded and open my mouth and allow people to put something in my mouth that I'm not aware of, you're gonna fucking lose me so fast, and I might just start making fun of everybody in the fraternity for that. But when we see all these opinions and we have all these takes and we have all these opinions, the best thing to do is to just wait to see how this all plays out. Yes, everyone has expectations. Yes, everyone has a hope for consequences and justice for Caleb, because we should all be clear here, that young man should not be dead right now. And the fact that these dudes took time to change his clothes, bring him to the hospital, and didn't phone in the police, and then had to be brought in for questioning and had to get questioned on this, which has led to more people speaking out about it, lets me know that these people were trying their damnedest to sweep this under the rug as best as they could to avoid the biggest consequences under the sun, and it hasn't been working. But the thing that irks me is we have a certain subsection of people who are dedicated to this idea that we live in a world where, since this was a black dude and it happened at an HBCU, now's the time to start making this a big issue, specifically in Louisiana.
This whole situation that's really just bothering me, is the fact that, yes, no doubt about it, this is a terrible incident that happened. This is a terrible crime. Yes, we get that. We understand that. We know that. But the thing that's bothering me is...
that you keep saying but. Behold! The reason why I use TikTok to source topics. Niggas still are fucking on this shit. Trump, you should have left it banned. Trump, you should have left it banned. Let them take their ass to Red Note and get banned off of Chinese media. Jesus Christ. Send it back. Send it back.
A couple of years ago at LSU, this same exact thing happened on their campus when some guy...
This campus, that campus, that means this is okay.
...was trying to join a fraternity, and he ended up dying because of, hazing or whatever. But we only heard about that one time, and it was just like, over with. But let it happen at an HBCU.
This happened at some white people shit. Nobody had a big problem there. It came and it went. But damn, now y'all on the top of the niggas. Open mouth, but no, there's no brain inside of it.
You boy, within a black Greek fraternization, within a black Greek organization, baby, it's just getting plastered everywhere nonstop. Like, Why LSU and them don't be getting this same treatment? Why them PWIs don't be going through this same thing? Like, when they...
I mean, if we're going to talk about that, let's talk about the fact that an African-American woman is trying to talk about the business of a black male fraternity and attempting to cover up for the worst behavior in action. Like, you cover up for men that would potentially punch you in the chest? Because what the female black sororities do, well, the less I say about that, the better. Just look up the kind of violence that is done by the Sigmas to the Deltas. I forget the entire acronym. But the Sigmas are the boys in blue. Those are the ones that are called Q-Dogs. They are probably the most aggressive of all of the heathenly niggas. And the Deltas are comparable to the Kappas, which is to say the Alphas. Alpha, Kappa, Alpha. My mother is an Alpha, Kappa, Alpha. The shit that these girls would be in on is comparable to the fucking drug dealer's girlfriend being even more debaucherous than her. They do it to the worst. They do it to the worst.
When that boy was unalived over there at LSU, did those boys even get arrested? Like, come on. Like, they be so quick to try to tarnish and destroy the name of black organizations and black industries and black schools and black...
They're so quick to tarnish the reputations of the blacks. You should just let us get away with murder. You should let us get away with covering up murder and not taking accountability within our within our community and within society, because it was niggas that did it. That means niggas should be allowed to get away with it. You only care because you want to hate black people so much. MAGA, 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 MAGA.
I'm telling you, like...
And my thing about that is I am someone who tends to study up on things because I'm interested in a lot of things that are outside of the casual norm of understanding in society. So for the duration of this video, after you just heard that bullshit, I'm going to bore you with a significant history lesson because I understand that everyone doesn't do the same thing. Everyone doesn't do research. Everyone doesn't follow up on trending topics, whether they be national, worldwide news, or even just locally in your town. So for just a moment, I would like to bore you all with the story of a man who's no longer on this earth, and I believe his name is Max Groover. Max Groover was seemingly in the same situation as Caleb, wanting to join a fraternity and had to go through some weird ritual in order to join it. Groover was 18 years old when he died. The coroner said the cause of death was an acute alcohol intoxication with aspiration. Groover's blood alcohol level was 0.495%, 6 times the legal limit. In 2017, a warrant was issued for 10 members of the college fraternity Phi Delta Theta for the charge of hazing. This was at LSU, not an HBCU. On the night before his death, Groover attended what was called a Bible study, where pledges were asked questions about the fraternity and had to drink alcohol each time they answered incorrectly. They also had to perform some physical exercises during the Bible study, including wall sits while other members walked across their knees. The warrant stated that pledges were also required to lift other members while standing on a book. The pledges drank to excess and Groover passed out on the couch and no one checked on him until 3 in the morning, at which time he was then left alone between 3 a.m. and 9 a.m. At some point, he had also vomited remnants of spaghetti which blocked his airway. In the morning, his pulse was weak and he was taken to the hospital. Medical examiners confirmed he had died around 4 in the morning. The grand jury declined to bring charges in one case and failed to reach consensus in 4 others. They indicted 4 men on charges of neglect, homicide. There was no consensus whether the National Fraternal Organization was criminally liable for the death. Matthew Naquin was convicted of neglect homicide in July of 2019 for his role in the hazing. Naquin had previously been asked by other fraternity members to tone down interactions with pledges that they described as extreme and dangerous. In November of 2019, Naquin was sentenced to 5 years in prison, of which 1.5, 30 months, was immediately suspended, followed by 3 years probation. And after the incident, LSU's chapter Phi Delta Theta was suspended up until at least 2033. And here's the part where I had to smarten myself up on it.
That is probably the correct response that should happen in this situation, to be serious. If I was the dean that was responsible for this, I would say the bare minimum is revocation of the chapter for a limited amount of time. Or if you want to be able to say that it's not a responsibility of the entire organization itself, but specifically these particular members who are known for having done this, specific expulsion up into the limitation of generations. So rather than suspend the chapter, with at least refusing to allow them to get new pledges up until a certain period of time, to, you know, deal with the incoming rush of people who potentially would have been a part of the culture that happened at that time. That way you're dealing with the older members, that if there are any alumni that are on campus that go to their alma mater, that look in on it, because organizations, they have interpersonal organization emails. So like for an organization like Skills USA, as I have been a member since my middle school career, I still receive emails about the alumni chapters and the alumni events of students from my alma maters. So, collegiate level, high school level, instructional level, state level participation, I receive emails about all of it. So I know about the goings-on in skills, even though I'm living my natural fucking life. Same thing happens with these orgs. They know. And if you want to prevent it from happening further, my basic ask would have been suspend intergenerational families. So you, your children, your children's children, and your children's children's children, not allowed to come to this fraternity. Realistically, blanket ban on the entire fucking school year. 4 years would be about right, and that's a lot of pledges for all fraternities to lose. Anyways.
Things that go on with fraternities. The Louisiana state legislature passed the Max Groover Act in 2018, which made hazing a felony. And for anyone who's wondering what the punishments could be, in Louisiana specifically, hazing can be a felony under the Max Groover Act, passed in 2018 and named after the LSU Phi Delta fraternity member who died in a hazing incident. Louisiana's anti-hazing law prohibits hazing regardless of whether the targeted person voluntarily allowed it. Violators face a $1,000 fine and 6 months behind bars. If the person being hazed dies or is seriously injured, penalties increase to a $10,000 fine and 5 years in prison. The increased penalties also apply if hazing involves coerced alcohol consumption that leaves the victim's blood alcohol concentration at or above a 0.30. A manslaughter conviction can lead to up to 40 years in prison.
Yes, sir! Yes, sir!
So when we sit here and play this funny little game about, did we know anything with this? Has there been any updates about it? That's you not keeping up with said subject matter. That's you not following up with more information, because unfortunately, for everyone who's glued to these fucking things, everything really doesn't get on Twitter and blesses your algorithm and blesses the random hot takes you get from people on TikTok who want to downplay something because they want to go viral on social media. And when you sit there comfortably talking about how you're not afraid of anybody, you're not running from nothing, with your comments off and deleted videos.
Y'all keep saying I'm scared. Scared of what? What could I possibly be scared of? I've already stated my opinion multiple times. Y'all got the videos, y'all got the screenshots, y'all got the pictures. What I'm scared of? I said what I said.
The face of ignorance. The face of ignorance. Bold-faced ignorance. I said what I said. You said that life doesn't matter. I hope this follows you in life, and all the positive things that are for you, that were meant for you, are revoked with the quickness. I wish nothing but downfall and pain for you. This is a horrible take. You are not one of God's creatures, and I wish mercy on your soul, but even the devil takes his due.
Okay, what am I scared about? What is there to be scared about? Y'all comments, y'all insulting me? Bitch, I'm not ugly. Got some good hair on the head. Make my own bread. Degreed. Got my own career. Expecting.
So certainly ain't got no fucking diction to teach the child how to speak the proper Queen's English.
Happy. What am I scared about, baby? Let me know.
That lets me know you said some dumb shit and you got chewed out by people and you don't know how to handle it, so you gotta pretend to look big and bad. Hi, I wanted to step in after I recorded this video in full to add this tasty nugget in, because after this woman decided to have her horrendous take and people on the internet saw it and chewed her out, she got back on social media to say all these people criticizing her don't actually care that someone lost their life in this fashion, and they don't really care about this at all. And if they're not from Louisiana, they shouldn't really be speaking on this.
You see what can happen when hazing is not have a light shined upon it, like when it's not broadcasted. You see what happened? Shit like this, people coming up unalive. Because the shit is illegal. So why keep continuing to do something that's illegal? And the same people that claim to be these hazing advocates and stuff like that, bitch, y'all been knowing hazing what's going on. This shit ain't nothing new. No, now that somebody passed away, now it's just, that energy should have been there. It shouldn't have got to the point where somebody had to pass away for y'all to be like, oh yeah, hazing is wrong. That shit been wrong. Like, half of y'all not even from the city of New Orleans anyway. Half of y'all not even from Louisiana, period, to be speaking on some shit that's even going down here. Like, what? If you could list one time where I said anything wrong in a situation that transpired, shit, I pay. But let it happen at a HBCU, boy. Within black.
My Cash App is in the bio, lil baby.
Greek fraternization within a black Greek organization, baby. It's just getting plastered everywhere nonstop. Like, why LSU and them don't be getting this same treatment? Why them PWIs don't be going through this same thing? Like, when that boy was unalived over there at LSU, did those boys even get arrested? Like, come on.
Very clearly they did. You are not as informed as you believe you are. Maybe you should have did a little bit more research for you to realize that, yes, they did indeed slide for the white nigga. So why do you think they shouldn't slide for the black nigga?
Like, they be so quick to try to tarnish and destroy the name of black organizations and black industries and black schools and black...
Right back to that black utilitarianism. They want to take down the black schools, and the black community, and the black fraternities, and the blackity, 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 blackity.
I'm telling you, like...
Two things. Number one, you cannot, after having a horrendous take and then getting criticized for it, try to play the game of being big and bad, thinking, oh, well, none of y'all really care. Y'all just trying to pretend to be like someone who cares, and you can't really speak on this subject matter because you don't fit the qualification of me dictating that you deserve to be speaking about this, because that spits in the face of significant moments in history that have been driven by people talking about it outside of the area. Imagine if I lived in a world where I couldn't speak on said subject matter if it didn't happen to me, or if I wasn't in the neighborhood, or if it didn't affect me in a way that makes me want to see some significant change in the world. Do you know how fucked we would be as a society? We're kind of already fucked as a society, but you imagine how worse we could be if stupid fucking opinions like that were to be solidified in grandiose fashion, how we wouldn't be able to speak on a said subject matter, and whether if it's fair or unfair, if a stupid bitch like you had they fucking way. Number two, hey motherfucker, I missed you at Mardi Gras, because I'm from Louisiana, born and raised from New Orleans. I remember when the duck off was popping, so I guess that gives me the credence under the sun to speak about this, and to say that you need to shut the fuck up, because you're not doing a real good service of demanding or seeking justice for somebody who had been wronged, who had been killed as a result of participating in a fucking fraternity recruitment process that makes no fucking sense. They deserve the punishments that they're gonna get, because all of this led to a man dying. Cut to print. End of story. See you at Mardi Gras next year. Hopefully we can share a fucking pound of crawfish. Matter of fact, I'm not done, because who is this mythical they that you was talking about in the video I showed at the beginning? Who is this mythical they that you're talking about as trying to ruin the reputation? White people. Of black fraternities and HBCUs, the black people who were there that spoke up and said, this ain't right. The news, like, who is it that you think is coming to hunt down HBCUs and black fraternities? Because I'm gonna sit here and tell you that somebody dying at a fraternity unsanctioned event, that should be talked about and that should be discussed. It don't matter about the reputation of black fraternities. If that's going on and somebody's potentially dying, that needs to be discussed. Fuck your reputation, because that shit is weird and it led to somebody dying. Also, I've seen that you posted some BS long apology.
Jesus fucking Christ, it's the leftist meme.
Talking about how, oh, everybody took your words out of context and nobody's understanding you. No, we heard you loud and clear, and we watched you feel proud about the shit you were saying. We watched you double down on the shit you were saying. So to you and the back of the class that's full of bitches that's gonna sit there and be like, well, she apologized, so you're just dragging it. Fuck you. You get gaslit for fun and for expectation. I'm not buying your BS apology because you don't mean it. You mad that a bunch of people on your ass because you had a horrendous take, because instead of worrying about justice for somebody who's no longer on this earth, you know what you're concerned about? The reputation of motherfuckers who bark while holding their hands like this and strolling with their shoulder. Get the fuck out my face. And here's why I'm gonna dumb you the fuck down. Someone's dead. This ain't really the time for your fucking think pieces about how, oh, it's an HBCU, so now we gotta talk about this. It went to the legal routes of passing a law off of a white dude dying. So your point about this is blown out of proportion and this is just something dramatic because it's an HBCU is fucking mute. You just wanted to have a controversial hot take and not recognize that when you do that, a bunch of people are gonna hear it and they're probably not gonna agree with you. Why? Because your fucking take is stupid and it's disastrously shitting on a man dying. You can try to sweep it under the rug. You can try to make it seem like, oh, well, they knew about this and they knew the risk and you knew the risk of being a part of the fraternity. Dying should not be a part of a risk when joining a club full of dudes or a club full of women. Just not something you're ever going to convince me to. And based on the law written up so that we can prevent things like this, it don't matter if you voluntarily participate. These motherfuckers are still gonna probably go to jail. Why? Because you killed somebody. And that is the big issue here. And I would just like to say, for the convenience of anyone who could possibly give a damn about this, they should go to jail. I don't care if you some legendary frat member. I don't care if you Omega Sci-Fi till you die. I don't care if you fucking bark into the wolves. I don't care if you a frat legend who want to defend fraternities and all the stupid shit you do. I don't care if you can move your fucking elbow and stroll in a fucking park while somebody watch you while you get no bitches. This was stupid and that man shouldn't have died for this. This man shouldn't have been punched in his fucking chest. You want to have an initiation in the fucking joining your club? Tell them motherfuckers take a pop quiz. Tell them motherfuckers run a lap. Tell them motherfuckers do something that don't require nobody touching them, sticking something in their mouth or making them look fucking foolish, all to join a fucking club where you probably getting tatted with something that looks like you done got pissed on and it dried up on you. It is embarrassing how these conversations devolve into a shit fest when all that needs to be said is rest in peace, Caleb Wilson, and I hope the people who did this to you face accountability, face the consequences of their actions. But because I live in a world where social media is dictated based on people fixated on their algorithms on hot takes, I gotta see this dumb shit and I gotta call it out and I gotta call anybody who defends it a fucking moron. And that's exactly what that woman is, and it's what other people are who are sitting here trying to jump through hoops defending some dumbass fucking rituals to join a club.
So this is to Giovanna J. You're not a parent yet, so you can't speak from a parent's point of view. But if you ain't never received a call from somebody telling you something happened to your child and you sent your child to school to be great, please don't speak on the topic. I don't give a damn if the boy your friend or whatever. You can say both parties no. Because hazing is against it. Then I can see it's a little basic hazing, but to literally punch somebody in the chest with his grown, antique, old man looking ass, that's most definitely was wrong. Look at that little boy. little boy, then you are the worst person to give advice, baby. You were just on here crying about a nigga in jail. Who does that in 2025?
Of course she's one of those!
But stay in your own lane, because it's parents grieving their child who just wanted to be somebody great, and it caused him to lose his life. And you know nothing about that yet.
And that's really all I got to say about this video. I hope these individuals face consequences for this, and I hope Caleb and his family know everlasting peace amongst a great tragedy. Subscribe. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.
So ultimately, as somebody who's I thought about whether or not I would join a Greek fraternity, but honestly, I would prefer to join a normal student life group. I cannot believe that someone actively would say, no, it's okay when we kill our people because we did it in the name of community. Let this have been a white situation, and a bunch of people decided to jump in and say, yep, that's what those male monkeys do. It's okay because it was blacks. It's okay because it's a black HBCU. Let this shit happen here, in the proximity of Georgia, on the fucking Alabama-Georgia state line for Tuskegee University. The sheer quickness of all the fraternities denouncing this shit, it would have made your head spin. There would have been a fucking incident at the fucking Fountain City Classic. Abysmal. Disgusting. Repugnant. A worse case individual for even a more obvious case of internal racism and bigotry towards our own. And then for the stupidest of people to open their fucking mouths on TikTok as though they have an opinion that deserves to be heard, when that shit is the most ignorant shit in existence. Moving forward. Click. Click. This one, I told him I would cover. This one is deeply hilarious and personal to me, because my boy was getting fucked with it by a member of Tim Pool's organization. Those that are not aware, I am personal friends with Nick Monroe, that is the lobster looker, that is the crab crawler, that is an investigative journalist who, for the last 8+ years of his life, he has been basically put through the ringer because he has been canceled for the crime of doing his job. On March 10th, he was being snubbed by the red-headed libertarian who was a member of the Tim Pool organization, who actively has been a part of the media clash of the right wing, attempting to silence dissent about the Super Peter brothers, Andrew and Tristan Tate, as they have now fled and escaped the country of their incarceration, and have now somehow been openly and seemingly openly invited into the arms of the right wing, to the point where they have actively split the party issue and the concerns of those greater right-wing figures. They are clearly breaking the voting bloc, and they are clearly getting involved and excused for by individuals like the Hodge twins, who were revealed by the ex-wife of people like that of Steven Crowder as effectively being fuckboys who bragged, and I quote say, it's not our problem that people aren't aware of our non-liberal, non-conservative positions, as they attempt to grift off of a conservative audience. Now on the issue, as I read and wrote at the time, it appears that Tim Pool and his employees have decided to start up on that we're defending sex traffickers bullshit. I'd suggest that if this isn't Tim Pool's will, you should better straighten out your employee and associate here. Libertarianism is when I punish investigative journalism? ? This was not a take about an individual being disallowed to go onto a platform. This was about an individual being harassed by a member of his news organization as they attempted to use this to justify not covering the topic that he was talking about. People want my opinion about Tim Cass and their treatment of the Tate Brothers situation. Okay, here it is. Tim and the people at the company have the stance of playing dumb about what Andrew and Tristan are accused of doing. I tried to reach out to them about it. They don't care. Try to make this more legible. I know that at least one guest on Tim's podcast tried bringing up the tape topic to them off camera, and they wanted nothing to do with it. They shut it down. As far as I remember the conversation from the person in question, Tim Cass will not talk about Andrew Tate. The red-headed libertarian is part of the Tim Cass company. This is why she's defending the Tate brothers. The motivation is purely business. Well, that's a shame. I had you on my request list for May. I wish you well. Because back in January, he had approached them and offered up his opinion for them to talk. She is not a small figure. She is one of the newest movers and shakers in the right wing. It's like the comparative example of being snuffed by mainstream news for right-wing spaces. Now, of course, we're all aware of Tim Pool. We all know who he is. We know what he does for business, what he does for work. Not shocking, not surprising. For this to happen and for them to move like this makes it clear that they have no intention on calling out Andrew Tate or Tristan Tate, let alone the Super Peter brothers together, let alone address their concern of deciding to ally their concerns and their business with men who are guilty of sex trafficking. If you're being really serious, being accused of being pimps, they are not conservative. They do not have conservative values. They are not figures that are considered a representative example of a positive background or a positive role model for conservative men or men in general. This, of course, then led to a very interesting back and forth concerning individuals that would try to critique me and my opinions based on that, who I have since blocked. If someone told their followers that I had an unpopular opinion because Tim Pool told me to, I might not have any time for that person. I might assume bad faith. But not being able to explain why they defend sex traffickers and then publishing a blackball against the reporter who's been a victim of cancellation for doing good faith reporting, who is 100% in the right to question her motives, is literally not bad faith. Are you fucking high? This discussion would go on and on and on and on and on. And this is here's the overall takeaway. Tim Pool doing whatever he can to remain relevant and keep himself in the news cycle. The same way that we could make fun of somebody like TYT. We could make fun of Chunk Yogurt and the news anchor mom / news aunt of Anna Kasparian constantly having to take shit for Hassan Piker, Chink's nephew. It's the same shit. Why are they choosing to defend someone like this? And why are they wasting our time about it? Now the news story continues further. At least you have proof that the people at Timcast do not want to hear what I had to say about the Tate War Room. With it being speculated that Tim is jumping in for the money and jumping in for the relevance. You know, pulling a sneako. This would then lead to people jumping in on the topic in general and doing what they can to get involved in it. First being, number one, two things can be true at once. Andrew Tate is a sex trafficking scum whose entire brand is based on exploiting men with promises of cheap hedonism. Two, we have completely failed young men in terms of positive masculine role models, allowing men like Tate to be able to step in, which is the correct take on how all this really breaks down. And then Nick summing up his opinion about it, saying that the red-headed libertarian publicly went after me but has no desire to even talk about it privately. For things like this is the moment where you can definitely be able to say you can wash your hands of any organization that is willing to give time, breath of air, and consideration to somebody like Tristan and Andrew Tate. They are definitely grifting. So, it is sad to see. What the fuck do you do? When you see behavior like this, you don't support it. You don't reward it. Any person that tries to cover for it much like that individual who found himself blocked, I don't give time for it. Because that individual in question wanted to have a lovely back and forth about how actually I'm the person who doesn't understand what the fuck I'm talking about, and actually I don't know what's going on there. Not gonna get into it. Not gonna go over it. Person is not relevant enough to bring up past what is there. If you desperately want to see it, go look down the thread yourself. This is probably the point at which you need to ask yourself, just like how Grums has attached himself to Elon Musk, is Tim Pool about to attach himself, like Seiko attempted to attach himself, to Andrew Tate? There is a greater than 5% chance that Tim Pool is going to use his platform to try and sanitize the incoming image of people who are not aware of Andrew and Tristan Tate. Because, make no mistake, they are pimps. Their business was luring women using the Casanova Loverboy love bomb to leave their homes and their states and their countries of origin, then to put their financial assets and independence into the hands of the brothers, and then use them as either cam girls or actual streetwalkers to create a monetization empire based off of the MLM model to increase and grow his relevancy, and then have them increase his views by reposting his content on all microblogging social media platforms. The same way that individuals like, say, Pearl H. Davis have been trying to build themselves up. It is actually in the vested interest that they should probably be banned on every single platform relevant. Now, unfortunately, they've been unbanned inside of Elon's Twitter. I do not believe that there are any accounts that are really of relevance reposting them in places like TikTok, so he's not picking up on the zeitgeist there. But I don't care who's giving the breath of air to it. I'm not supporting it. Simply because if you're going to punish somebody by saying that they don't deserve to have the airtime to discuss the matter on air, you've kind of demonstrated that your organization is not trustworthy. And that your business, thus, is not trustworthy. Because it's not a question of, how dare you not platform him? It's more of a question of, nigga, are you down with the pedophiles? And that's really all there is to it. That's really all there is to it. Nothing else matters. If you think that it's about platforming, you are missing the point. Just like in the Culture War, if you think this is about a back and forth between people like Grums, you're missing the point. If you think it's about a back and forth between Airbagged and Alyssa Mercante, or whatever fucking lolcow is getting milked for content, you are missing the point. The person who should be concerned here is the voter and also the supporter of these businesses. You clearly want to do business with pedophiles. Alright, my money is not good here anymore. We're gonna see you when you see you. And then you just fully disassociate. Vote what you wallet. Vote in your consciousness. Straightforward, simple as. If for nothing else, please support my nigga Nick Monroe. He is still trying to get his other accounts back, and it appears that at least inside of Elon's organization, Elon has allowed him to probably be able to make a name for himself again, and be able to undo the cancellation attempts that have been done to him when Twitter was still leftist controlled. Moving forward. I regret to inform you, chat, that it has happened. The meme that we were talking about literally last week has came to pass. Someone unironically said that Chikorita, the worst Pokemon by a statistical mile, is hated because of misogyny.
Chikorita, like, I love Chikorita. I have a tattoo of Chikorita. I have a full team of shiny Chikoritas. My secondary channel is called Cecily Loves Chikorita. Go subscribe. And when she was revealed as one of the starters in the upcoming Pokemon Legends EA, this was my reaction. We are catching Pokemon Chikorita! Chikorita! Todo tayo, Chikorita and Tepig! What the fuck? Let's go! Mega Chikorita! Let Mega Meganium! So yeah, Pokemon Day was
This
huge
gave
for
me
me.
an
I'm extremely hyped
aneurysm.
for Pokemon Legends.
You're welcome.
I said this gave me an aneurysm.
You're welcome.
I reacted to this with Gara. There's a couple things that I want to point out before we get into it.
Okay.
She's not white. She's Brazilian.
I could tell.
I made that mistake. Just want to put that out there because she makes some weird suggestions and stuff. And be aware, she has some of the dumbest fucking takes. And she backtracks a lot.
Okay.
A lot.
Legends EA. I have been wanting to have a Pokemon adventure in a huge city, bustling with life, colorful characters, side quests, small stories, and Pokemon living with us since forever, really. And I went online to celebrate and talk to other Pokemon fans about the incredible trailers we just saw.
Well, there's your first mistake. You went online to talk to other fans. Fans don't exist online. That's a myth.
And then I made the mistake of logging into the mental health website, and I was welcomed.
Exactly, you dumb bitch.
My God. Oh God. She made the pictures too small. Okay.
Incredible trailers we just saw. And then I made the mistake of logging into the mental health website, and I was welcomed.
Still on this, I don't care who likes these things, bro. Who's picking this shit over Cyndaquil and Totodile? How does their brain function? So here's what you should have done. You should have taken the take, and then you should have showed how popular the take was amongst the people who were posting it. Because I'm certain these accounts have absolutely either the biggest support, meaning it's botted likes and or retarded opinions, who cares? Or it's a person with 5 likes to the name, who cares?
Welcomed by
DEI starter lineup, this is sick work. So that's
How?
just irrelevant. Because
How?
Because having 117.2k views, they started the fucking comment with DEI starter. Throw away the opinions, useless. They're clearly engagement farming you. And you're
How is
giving
it
it to
DEI?
them.
How's a DEI anyway? Can you explain that, motherfucker? Because I don't understand it.
If we go with the standard of DEI is when woke and when black people, they're claiming that Chikorita is woke because female, I guess. Even though we should know that majority of most Pokemon species, when they are given to you, are 75% male. So, I roll. Because I can only imagine the argument is, Chikorita is female coded. People are misogynist because they don't like girls. Therefore, it must be misogyny. That was the first take. The second take, which was said by Struggler the other day, is chick is in the name, therefore they inherently hate them because it reminds them of women.
That is the dumbest take. Anybody who has that take, you need to go get a lobotomy.
We're not making it out the Bechdel test with this one, boys. That third one came by really fast.
just saw. And then I made the mistake of logging into the mental health website, and I was welcomed by
Exactly, Chikorita isn't the worst because it's bad in battle. It's the worst because it's ugly as fuck.
I mean, they're not wrong.
Yeah.
That one is not. That one's not a bad take.
Yeah. Game Freak rolls worst starter trio of all time. Asked to stop development immediately. Excuse me, in this house, we stand Totodile.
Yeah. But I do agree that they're a weird choice. I think it would have been better if they had gone with Snivy, Popplio, not Popplio. What's the name of the I think it's Piplup and Scorbunny, because all of them can be tied back to French culture. I don't know what the tie-in for these guys is, so I'm curious to see.
Great.
Should people hate Chikorita because
the mental health website, and I was welcomed by
God, the fucking speed at which they put them up does not have any goddamn fucking semblance of speed and staccato. People hate Chikorita because she sucks compared to Totodile and Cyndaquil. It's not that deep. Sure, like for most of these opinions, they're preferences. For the ones that bring up the actual statistics on how they work in combat, that is also a different argument.
I also need to pull something up for you.
Okay.
Because there's context to the clip she's gonna show. And you should have that context. You back it up a little bit so I can get an exact timestamp for you.
There's a whole new white to see. It's a whole new white. It's a whole new white. Who's white and white, white, and they're white, and they're white and white. I see your hand, struggler. Give me a second.
I sent it to you.
Garbage.
It should be at the time where you need it to be at, but it shows the entire context for this particular clip because she clipped chimps like crazy.
No, this clip started at 00.
Okay, so go to 357.
357.
Like what she did, where she kind of cut it out of context.
Who the freaking heck's sniping? You gave us this? Now, before all the Chikorita fans come and bash me, let me explain why I'm crashing out right now.
This is like Funimation coded type shit right now. Oh my god. All I can imagine is that fucking Bundy Jr. guy in his loud ass fucking mouth. Jesus fucking Christ. Did I write that in here? If I didn't write that in there, I need to go get that clip. Separate problem. If I put that on screen, it's going to need to be reset. So, give me a second.
Don't worry about it. I can hear it.
Okay.
See this adorable little guy right here? Yeah, when he evolves into Feraligatr, his Mega is gonna be disgusting. And then you see this little guy right here, Tepig? Yeah, when it evolves into Emboar and it has the chance to Mega, oh my god, you better not mess this up, Pokemon. But this? Now this one's got me confused. We all know Meganium, love Meganium. I'm a Meganium fan, I love Meganium. But nobody asked for Littlefoot's grandparents to freaking get a Mega! Y'all got me crashing out for no freaking reason. You all realize we gotta have Mega Superior, right? A freaking Mega Superior! But hey, we got a Mega Meganium. Well, that does kind of sound cool. It's ridiculous! Now that I've calmed back down, in the trailer, I did see a Chandelure. If you don't give me a Mega Chandelure, I'm really finna crash out. Don't you do it, Pokemon! Don't you
I just want to...
He does not help himself by having the voice that he does.
No, but he's definitely clip chimped by her.
Okay. Let's see it on her version.
Tepig? Amazing. But Chikorita? Chikorita, are you kidding me?
And I was just
Starts the clip in the middle. Okay.
confused to see so much hate directed specifically at Chikorita. Like, yes, it's always like this. Some people will dislike some Pokemon, and you have your usual haters. People saying that everything after Gen 1 is trash, people thinking that Garbodor existing is an argument.
Okay, so we've started off with random hate towards Gen 1er. Then we started into, if you don't like this Pokemon, you're crazy and or bad and stinky opinions. Poo-poo opinions. Forehead.
But this was an unusually strong amount of hate. The type that isn't
No, it's
usual
not.
for Pokemon. It reminded me of something that I couldn't quite identify yet. And people were joking about Chikorita only having 7 fans, but I can assure you, my streams here trying to get Bayleaf to Master Ball rank bring much more than 7 people. Something weird was in the air. This wasn't usual Slender, this was harsher.
So you're upsetty because your favorite Pokemon is very much disliked by a mass majority of the Pokemon community. Honey, my favorite Pokemon is disliked too. Houndoom and Houndour are very much disliked. I love them. I don't get my fifis hurt when they say that one of the worst mega evolutions ever. I don't get mad when they say that it was improperly used in both Gen 2 and Gen 4. I don't get mad. I understand. Build a bridge, get over it.
Something was calling me for some research in old Nintendo interviews, and a third
Something was calling me. I could hear the name of God. He was calling me to his crusade. Ride in the name of the leaf.
You know what she should have done besides this research? She should have asked her community why they thought Chikorita was disliked. Did she do that? No. She's going on fifis.
Pure vibes. Pure vibes.
30-minute long essay. And then I saw this message, and it connected to synapses in my brain. This is certainly
This message. What is this message?
for interviews and a 30-minute long essay. And then I saw this message, and it connected
There's misogyny everywhere with those with eyes to see. That's a big accusation.
to synapses in my brain. This
Massive
is certainly
accusation.
an interesting way of looking at it. Could the explanation for this unwarranted hate for one of my favorite Pokemon be rooted in something that the gaming community knows far too well? Could it just be hating things that are made for girls? Wait.
Kappa.
It's not made for girls, it's made for children. And in turn now, children or adults that grew up playing this game as children. You're wrong.
Before you click out of the video, press the dislike button and leave a very impolite comment. I would just like to call your attention here to the title of this video.
Flame baiting.
Do you see
There's the backtrack. There's the backtrack.
Am I saying that it's definitely surely rooted in misogyny? No, I'm not.
Yes.
Am I saying that everyone who...
If you beg the question, and you make your thumbnail, and you make your video title an open question, you are leading me to assume that you are in fact saying it is rooted in misogyny. Because for all the answers I could give to the definitive of your question, you left open that it must be misogyny. With nothing else showing that it's not misogyny, or as Mahler says, hating it for nerd reasons, you said, nah, it's not nerd reasons. It's clearly woman hate. Go fuck yourself.
who dislikes Chikorita hates women? No. Am I saying that you are legally obliged to like the same Pokemon as I do? No. And I swear, any...
Well, that's not true either, because even if I dislike them, or even necessarily have no strong opinions in which to defend them in the positive or the negative, having had opinion means that you don't like it if I'm not on your side, and that I don't bend and buckle for you, and that on along, again, fuck yourself. That's not how opinions on the internet get to work. You don't get to say that if I am not on your side, that I am suddenly for the misogyny, because people are not going to take the time to even read 2 minutes into the video. They're just going to make the snap decision off of your takes, off of your paragraphs, off of what they can read without having to get into it, and they're going to decide whether or not your opinion is worthy of criticism or worthy of consideration.
Anything you are thinking about commenting, I will talk about in this video. What I really want to try to do here...
I think about whether or not you should be in the kitchen making a ham sandwich with cheese and Swiss. Is that in...
She's gonna make a comment about that later. She's gonna reference that joke later.
And understand better is if this disproportionate hate, at least from some people, might have its roots somewhere else other than just personal taste. But the truth is, I don't know. You don't know. By the end of this video, odds are, we both won't know for sure, dear stranger in line. But it's an interesting question, right? It can definitely get us started on a path to learn more about the series, about gaming history, about marketing, and about, well, sexism. And isn't it nice to ask questions, to be
lol.
Curious to investigate stuff? This here is...
Sure, but I don't want to investigate that with you. The fuck?
It's just an essay, a rehearsal of an idea, and I'm not here to spit any golden nuggets of truth. I'm here...
You literally are. The point of your video is that you need to give me a persuasive argument. The open question, is Chikorita hate rooted in misogyny, is an incomplete sentence. Is Chikorita hate rooted in misogyny? Half sick. Can we find out what it is rooted in?
She doesn't go into that.
Of course fucking not.
She's literally backtracking because she doesn't want to get any hate for her 30-minute essay. But she still gets hate because we see through you, bitch. We see right through you.
I mean, okay, so mining down, you want to defend the main idea of Chikorita and whether or not people's dislike of the character is rooted in something. We don't know what it's rooted in, but you beg the question that it's rooted in misogyny. Your persuasive argument now needs to convince me to accept your position, which is why you're a Chikorita fan. Your goal is not to spit information at me, it's to get me to see the upsides of Chikorita and or Pokemon and or the labor of love you have for Chikorita and or Pokemon. If you don't accomplish that, your video is moot, because it's an opinion, like everybody else. And if you show your ass, I will laugh at it.
Here to entertain a possibility, and try to understand why some people might think that my poor leaf Pokemon is being the victim of misogynist attacks. Instead of saying...
Then why didn't you ask your audience?
I just want to do something a bit cooler. Something that people on the internet very rarely do. I want to try...
Talk on the internet from your bedroom? Later all the time, bitch. It's a time-honored tradition.
to understand why people might think the way they do. We are all products of culture, right? A lot of things have happened in
Oh,
game
so you're a
freaks around the world
psychologist now,
since Chikorita
bitch.
was first presented in 1999. Not only that, many things have happened before that led to her creation in the first place. Context is key, and Chikorita has been receiving a lot of hate since, well, 1999 from the Pokemon
Because she
community.
sucks.
A
Because it
community that
sucks.
was much
Because
Also-
it sucks.
Also, a webcomic was designed to be a joke. Them making jokes about the fucking creatures does not constitute an example of hate. It is an opinion like anyone else's.
different then than it is now, that had some practices and some jokes and even a demographic that is completely unimaginable when you look at it today. What I'm trying to say is that to understand Chikorita hate, I think we need to look first at weird Nintendo commercials from the 90s.
That's such a leap. And then you fuck the audio mix on this because it's only playing from the left ear.
Yep, it's bad.
The Nintendo and Sega neck-to-neck competition was probably a defining aspect of the gaming industry in the years leading up to Pokemon's creation. In order to compete against the blue hedgehog that's gotta go fast, Nintendo needed to up their game. They pivoted from their family-oriented marketing to some more aggressive strategies by launching the Play It Loud campaign. Red, cool, skateboard, Charlie Brown Jr. This campaign was aimed at Nintendo's core audience, which was young boys, and this led up to Dear Stranger line. Well, maybe it's better if I just
I hate
show
when
you
she does
some
that.
ads.
A Mal.
Absolutely, Mal.
Okay, I have opinions, but I'm first gonna let her finish this segment.
I'm gonna let you finish.
Of course. Okay. Yes. Of course. Copyright struck. Blah 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 blah. Because this is the trailer for Super Smash Brothers.
He's gone wrong in the happy-go-lucky world of Nintendo.
But why boys? Like, why are video games targeted at boys specifically?
Because they like video games.
Right.
So, the ads that she's talking about, that was the peak of the 90s console war between Sega, Nintendo, PlayStation, Microsoft, and Xbox through the form of their particular 5th to 7th generation products. I'm probably skipping a couple of generations, but my brain is trying to say the generation between the Game Boy, the Game Boy Color, the Nintendo 64, the GameCube, leading into the Wii. That generation, which features mainstay consoles such as the X64, the GameCube, PSX, PS2, Xbox in the earliest forms of the 360, Sega Genesis, Sega Saturn, Sega Dreamcast, and the like. That was a generation that was based on Sega does what Nintendo don't. They were getting their asses whooped by Sega because even though the Master Drive, aka the Genesis, was considered an arcade machine, the same way that the NES ports of all of the very difficult video games were considered a arcade machine, with a couple of here and there home entertainment systems that would have mainstays such as the classics, such as Super Mario Brothers, would then be met by the likes of things like, and I cannot state this enough, what was the name of it? The Sega Dreamcast Party Pack? Sega Dreamcast Party Pack? Believe it, yes. Sega Smash Pack, excuse me. Featuring things such as the Sega Dreamcast game bundles with disc-only releases, or specifically, the Sega Smash Pack, Volume 1 and Volumes 2. Please give me the Wikipedia and the Sega Retro. Which featuring the likes of based fucking titles, Altered Beast, Columns, Golden Axe, Phantasy Star 2, Sonic the Hedgehog Spinball, Vector Man, Columns 3, Mean Bean Machine, Comic Zone, Flicky, Kid Chameleon, Sega Swirl, Shining Force, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Super Hang-On, Vector Man. And then on the console edition, Altered Beast, Columns, Golden Axe, Phantasy Star Toon, Revenge of the Shinobi, Sega Swirl, Shining Force, Sonic the Hedgehog, Streets of Rage 2, Vector Man, Virtual Cop 2, and Russell Wars, with certain versions having the Hall of the Dead, and a couple of other mainstay staple titles, some of which would then be repeated again on Sega, like on the Sega Retro version. the most versions that people were getting were basically ports of the Saturn versions. So the ones that we got in America for that was Altered Beast, Columns Golden Axe, Phantasy Star 2, Revenge of Shinobi, Sega Swirl, which was only released on the original Dreamcast discs, Shining Force, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Streets Raids, Vector Man, Virtual Top 2, which was a port of the PC version, and all the other versions that were brought as PC versions of those swirls at the beginning of home entertainment computing, especially featuring IBM, Gateway branded deals. I forget the company that was born out of Lenovo, but was the company before them. I think that still was IBM. But this was the beginning of them trying to figure out how they're going to find their core audience, right? So at the same time that they had Sega does what Nintendo don't, you had the campaigns that were being put out in America for the audiences featuring the one that you just did for Ocarina of Time, right? So that was during the time of the badass article of, are you going to play the video game or are you a wimp and or pussy? This was the peak of the video game ad, okay? This was the spread of the 2-page sale of you playing the video game. This was Tomb Raider. This was Mortal Kombat. This was some of the classic PSX titles. This was shit for Vagrant Story. This was shit for Paranoia Eve. This was the shit for fucking Crash Bandicoot. This was the shit for what was his name? What was his name? Don't tip my tongue. Duke Nukem. Ocarina of Time was probably the more classical one because they had two different tones based off the commercials they used for Japan and they used for America. But this is the focus on the American model of the ads. The ads were all about trying to get you to get Nintendo Power, so that you were jacked into the culture of Nintendo Power. And it definitely worked, because that was, of course, the era of the Wizard. Fucking Nintendo World Championship. You got boys watching a tournament where they're watching other people play video games in a decathlon-style presentation. They could not care less about whether or not you understood the ad. What was important is that you understand the energy they were trying to give. And the energy that they were trying to give was, bro, this is the coolest thing since sliced bread. Either you're in or you're out. Do you want to miss out on culture, bro? Why are you attacking them for something that clearly worked? Because niggas are still having console war problems to this day. But we're not here about the console wars. We're talking about specifically the audience that they are trying to project to.
Do some ads.
So, this ad of you clicking on the Nintendo 64 edition of Ocarina of Time is the same thing as the ads that they did for Majora's Mask. The goal was to get you to buy the fucking game and go to the game store. And it worked. Because on one hand, you've got them telling you about a new game that's coming out, and then on the other hand, it's calling you a wimp and a coochie. That is something that you cannot get back. The culture of challenging you to be better at the game. Something that they only recently did with the campaign they tried to do behind Far Cry 6, where they actively send you emails to the account that's registered, that bought the registry for the game, to tell you about the last time that you were in the game, and the antagonist mocking you about how little you've been playing the match. Because if you assume that the game world is still going on while you're logged out of it, he's like, oh, thank you for being 12 hours departed in the world. I've made so much money off of you being lazy. That's to compel you to play a video game. Back to this.
At boys specifically, does that make any sense? Well, here's the deal.
I started in the middle of her sentence.
All in the happy-go-lucky world of Nintendo.
But why boys? Like, why are video games targeted at boys specifically? Does that make any sense? Well, here's the deal. According to a nice video I watched by Adam Conover at the beginning of the 80s with the...
Adam Conover mentioned. I do not want to hear from the opinion of Adam Conover job.
Great video game crash and everything, Nintendo decided that they would stop selling in the technology section of your local Costco and start selling in the toys department instead. It does actually
Which was smart.
Yeah, that's a smart business decision, dumbass. These are effectively paid toys.
A toy company, and well, toys are probably the most aggressively gendered section of any store on the planet.
Cap, Lies. Lies, Cap. I've walked through them. I've actively been forced to walk through them and buy toys for this boy. There are more shit for girls, or just non-gendered in general, than there is shit for boys. Multiple entertainment sections that currently exist inside of Walmarts right now have actually actively removed their game section because they are trying to cut their losses. In terms of video games right now, mega stores don't exist. Toys R Us, dead. General entertainment sections, dead. Other competing businesses outside of some home brands. So if you're lucky enough to still have a mom and pop shop video game store, it's GameStop or nothing. There's nothing else.
Even GameStop doesn't have a lot of games anymore. It's mostly fucking pop figures. It's like Hot Topic.
Half the fucking store.
Video games.
Yes, half the fucking store is fucking vinyls. Vinyls on the left, and then a section for the latest consoles on the right, and then maybe a bargain bin in between the section that has the up-to-date Switch titles and the fucking PlayStation titles, with the majority of the things either being empty cartridge boxes to get you to buy a CD disc, or fucking game card codes for you to take to the register to buy the edition of the game that you want. Assuming that it's not just behind glass, and you can find a proprietor that continues to have one. I'd have to walk through Best Buy to find out if they have one, but it'd probably be the same case. We're talking about the retail square footage of displays and how much people are actually going to convert from window shopping to sales. Regular game stores would make more on trading card games and fucking adventure leagues for D&D campaigns or Pathfinder campaigns than making money on selling actual games.
Which is why GameStop does the TCG card trading shit now for Pokemon.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. Those are right next to the game cards. Pokemon trading cards on the Pokemon cards and all the other cards for all the other fucking card games in circulation, and then right next to them, the fucking Steam cards and the fucking Nintendo Switch cards to go onto the eShop, right next to each other, and that's on the right side of the store. And then of course the little section where they have the clearance rack, where they have the clearance rack posters, which is where I got the other two new posters in the new Sailor Moon Luna shirt.
Yep.
Which I got on a bargain.
Instead of marketing to families, they had to pick one gender out of only two, which is...
Cap, lies, Cap. Nintendo did not pick one brand and they did not pick one gender. They did everything. You're only just bringing up the male ones because the male ads were successful.
Yep.
Too few, I think. And since it's easier to sell boy stuff to girls rather than selling girl stuff to boys, they
That's not true.
Cap, lies.
How many Barbie games have been made?
Oh, so many. I actively still make the jokes about Barley Island Adventure.
20 years later, in the early 2000s, marketing and culture had completely changed and solidified the pure nugget of truth that gaming is for boys.
No, it was salacious to get you to click on the fucking ad, and it worked. Because you're talking about it. Go ahead.
I agree, it's kind of out of character to... It's not okay to kind of give it to children like that. Like, come on.
Yes.
I give her a point there. That's it.
So, there's a nugget of truth, and the example is, wow, that's really crazy. They had a 1 to 2 page spread in their ads where they had things like women being tied up to a bed. Bro, are you serious? This game is so distracting that you literally won't want to rape a woman in bed. Boys, you're gonna be so engrossed with this video game that your wife is gonna have blue balls and will cheat on you in your marriage. It's like an anti-rape ad. On that, you could say, yeah, that's really rough and aggressive. You know what the funny part is? You know who made those ads? They're the same people who are pushing social justice inside of video games right now. So, like, sure, but the people who you would agree with are actively a part of the purity spiral. So that's whatever. My point still remains that the goal and the importance is that the ad got you to pay attention to and remember it. And that's the takeaway. That's syndication, baby.
I have girlfriends that only got into video games in their 20s because their parents would never buy them a console as a kid.
Okay, so if those girls really cared about getting into gaming, Why didn't they get money from themselves, working hard like any boy did, doing chores, doing laundry, and just buy the fucking games themselves?
As woman here, hi. That's not what happened with me or my sister or any of the females that I was friends with. All of us wanted consoles. I lost my shit when I got my Nintendo 64. Diddy Kong Racing was peak. Don't talk to me about how it's not for girls.
What kind of parents wouldn't buy their daughters a console? I don't know. The Puritan ones that apparently exist in the argument that they're making here, because the gaming industry is not a nebulous one-type experience for all, as they're apparently marketing them as, where boys get consoles and girls play with dolls still, into the fucking 90s and 2000s.
Also, wait, wasn't it around this time that they were starting to make the educational games for kids, like Rita Rabbit and shit like that? So what's your explanation for that?
Rita Rabbit, Pajama Sam, Clue Finders, Putt Putt, Backyard, Baseball.
Oh, you're saying all that was just for boys?
Like, the entirety of the company of Humongous Entertainment and the voice actress Pamela Addison were literally carrying early childhood video game development. Not accounting for the franchises that would also solidify themselves at this time. Like, the entire company, even though it is defunct, rest in peace, Humongous Entertainment, you could never say that they were not putting in the effort to get people involved. Granted, I was the generation that when they were coming up on Reading Rabbit, I was actually captured by the likes of Clue Finders. Specifically the one with the backyard environment, and then the one with the Mecha Incan Aztec. I can't remember the name of it. Clue Finders. The Clue Finders. Which one am I thinking of? The Mystery of Mothra. No, 6th grade and 4th grade. So Puzzle of the Pyramid and Empire of the Plant People. That was between the ages of, what was it originally designed for? 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, ages 9 through 12. Then The Mystery of the Missing Amulet, The Phantom Amusement Park, The Incredible Toy Store Adventure, and Mystery Mansion Arcade. Originally at the time of The Learning Company, which was the spiritual successor to Reading Rabbit from 1998 to 2001. So at the same time that you had the peak of the Magic School Bus, you also had the inclusion of the Clue Finders, alongside the Learning Company, which was formerly Softkey, in the sphere of edutainment. And in terms of the publishers, that was not the same company as the one behind the Humongous Entertainment, but it was in the exact same promotion. So, you cannot tell me that you could not be able to find other types of franchises that were able to achieve what you were looking for. Because you see, at the same time that you had Clue Finders and Reading Rabbit, you also had Carmen Sandiego.
God, I love Carmen Sandiego games.
So, like, you just
love them.
You were just robbed of childhood, bro. I don't know. Maybe you didn't have it in Brazil at the time. Just robbed. Just robbed. Robbed.
And just plain wrong.
It was a boy thing, like cars, sports, and having a crush on Wolf Blick. Gaming
No. No.
A mouth. Look, I like Hot Wheels Turbo Racing as much as the next guy, but listen. I don't give a fuck about none of that. My woman is gearhead, not me.
Majorly masculine environments, both offline and in the ever-growing online communities that we're forming.
Okay, so, overly male. Here's a question. If are a bunch of men, and they are having fun, are you going to be scared to put your name out there and get involved in that community of mostly men? If the answer is yes, congratulations, you are the problem. Stop using men as a nexus and a monolith to be terrified of what's going through the head of the red-blooded, heterosexual male, and just get into the space. It is not the job of those people to welcome you in. At the time that we're talking about, it was a rough and tumble environment. If there were people who were making you feel disincluded and incentivized, it is literally your job to show that you could be able to hang with that circle. You could not, therefore, go back to Echo the Dolphin. That is more your speed. It is
also traumatizing.
Yes. Look. If you haven't experienced Echo the Dolphin, I don't know what to tell you. You need to have nightmares like the rest of us.
That's like never-ending story trauma. Good lord.
That's assuming you ever got to the end of either of the two games.
And I'm not sure if you, dear Stranger Line, were around back then, but let me tell you something. In the 2000s, anything that was made for girls was mocked relentlessly.
Okay.
And for boys.
And for boys.
Everything was mocked.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically 13-year-old girls. The Twilight...
Oh, specifically 13-year-old girls. Oh.
This is where I literally lost my mind.
Twilight.
The infamous Twilight. I hate it. I hate it with every fiber of my being. That shit might as well be a fucking fanfic. It is terrible. It deserves to be mocked. And anybody that went apeshit over it deserved to be mocked.
I can't escape the young adult novels. We're stuck in the young adult novels. I'm back to fucking 9th grade book club president throughout the entirety of my high school career, watching people come and go.
Books were constantly made fun of all the time, anywhere you looked at in 2000.
Okay, so here's my problem. You said Twilight, but I know exactly what that is. That is the parody film. If I can remember.
Vampires suck. Yes, I loved it.
Yeah, that was the parody film that was making fun of Twilight. The entire joke is that they wanted to spoof on it, because that was from the era of spoof movies, like fucking Meet the Spartans and shit.
Yep.
They made fun of the rom-coms. They made fun of the disaster movies. They made fun of the superhero movies. Eventually, this would be spiritually successor to by movie 43, where they made fun of the high-concept situational films. Everything at this time got shit posted on like this. Shit, the more recent example that's happening with the black community was the blackening, and them making fun of the tropes of films like that. You're talking shit, girl. You're talking actual shit.
2010. YouTubers made entire careers out of it, and K-pop and tween Justin Bieber, who only started.
Yes, because they were cringe.
Yeah, they were cringe. Rebecca Black got the same shit that fucking Justin Bieber did.
And she goes on to say that, oh, he changed his style because he was getting picked on. No, because he grew the fuck up.
Yes. Don't you fucking spit dirt on my nigga fucking Justin Jermaine Bieber, goddammit! He earned his black card! More waste than what?
Unfortunately. Let her finish.
Directing his sound to a male audience, they were constantly harassed in blogs and comedy shows and Twitter. In the meanwhile,
Wait, let her finish.
Okay. I just wanted to mention really quick that Sorry was definitely not for a male audience. That was literally a love song to the girls.
Movies that were instead aimed at 13-year-old boys, like Transformers, had some jokes about too many explosions here and there, but never saw a glimpse of the
Making
hate
fun of
that
epic,
things like Twilight had.
rap battles.
Adult novels, super...
Pause. There was an entire South Park episode making fun of Michael Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Woman. That was made fun of constantly.
Making fun of Michael Bay, making fun of gamers, making fun of specific gamer culture, such as the infamous WoW episode.
Yep.
Lock or fanfiction, anything that was made with young girls in mind would suffer backlash or mockery in online and specifically gaming spaces. Even though teenage girls are always literally in the vanguard that dictates where the future of pop culture is headed to, they will always be...
It's not teenage girls. It's gay men that are leading the culture war and have been for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Notice how big of an influence RuPaul's Drag Race has on everything that goes on right now. You hear their slang everywhere. That's where all that shit gets popularized. If you're saying that it's teenage girls that lead the way, you're wrong.
Teenage girls are the carrier. They are the transmission system. They are not the progenitor of the social contagion and the virus that then infects the culture, and then has a change on the culture.
Yep.
Bullied just for liking stuff. That's also when memes like the "there are no girls on the internet" showed up. Trying
No, that was a way of people being able to learn how to manage and go through the environment of the internet by learning that you needed to have anonymity first, because if you wanted... Okay. There's no point of even explaining it. We're going to let the whole section finish, and then I'm going to demonstrate the reason why the girl on the internet is important.
to enforce that women could never be actually welcomed in nerdy online spaces. If they tried to join, they would be victim of abuse and misogyny, as is the case with the "make me a sandwich" meme that was quite popular in the 2000s. And still today, mainstream gaming spaces continue to be quite aggressive towards women, as any woman who has ever been in a gaming voice chat can tell you. Alongside the misogynistic fiasco that was Gamergate and the woke games list that
Gamergate mentioned, Gamergate mentioned. Also,
Yep.
they're bringing up the fucking woke game list from that one group that was trying to satirize the fucking gaming lists. So actively, salaciously putting up a literal fucking sting job designed to demonstrate how fucking retarded people are being. Definitely missing the point.
Also, hi, woman here. I get celebrated more about being a part of these things than I do hounded or bullied because I'm a girl. Do you know how often I've gone into, like, I don't know, a fucking chat and they're like, oh my god, it's a girl, and everybody wanted to be my boyfriend. Tell me how is that making fun of me?
I think we can all agree, being a girl and liking video games is hard. But let me get back to
No, it's not.
It is not.
No, it's not. It's not.
Now, we are not going to let you get back to the topic. We're going to pull you aside and we're going to explain to you why there are no girls on the internet, okay? The reason why there are no girls on the internet is because anonymity was at its peak. You were not yourself. You were Ball Buster 571. You were Big Dick Swagger 67 Big 9. You were Big Booty Butt Jiggle Wiggle 45. There are no girls on the internet because there are no men on the internet either. There are people, and those people are screen names. By trying to use your gender in order to justify that your opinion should be valid based on your gender in life, you are looking to reestablish the lack of advantage that you get in normal social parlance. Therefore, in order to be given your privilege, you must be reminded that you reached for your privilege in the first place. To remove gender from the equation and demonstrate the reason why this is important for you to understand, this is at this point where I'm going to bring in Struggler in if he's still waiting on the side. What you need to understand is a part of that nexus, because I'm bringing you in for this conversation, and then I'm pushing you back out to the audience. What is important about this conversation is that by removing gender from the table, and we make it specifically about who you are and why your opinion should matter more than someone else's, you must first identify why you deserve to have the privilege in general. And the only privilege that would matter in that decision matrix is your relevancy to the topic. So, in terms of women, you are usually given preference and deferential treatment because when somebody who is not commonly involved in the circle, or in the zeitgeist, or in the space, or in the sphere, gets involved, we would want to pay deference to it because it's something that normally doesn't happen. Bringing you in, and then for you to turn around and say, you should do what I say because I'm a woman, will be met with mockery. Because do what I say because I'm a man, in a woman's space, would also be met with mockery. Because I am a member of the out group attempting to proselytize to the in group. Now, you might think, well, Carl, aren't you proving your point that it's a male-centered and male-dominated space? No, it was male-dominated because you didn't want to be involved in it, because you thought the shit was it wasn't good enough for you, if you're being dead ass. Ignoring that, you wanted to have a say. But there are no girls on the internet. You wanted to reestablish the privilege that comes with being a girl and being the center of attention. We did not go there to talk to women and hit on them. We're here gaming. So to reestablish your privilege, this is where we invented tits or get the fuck out. Because what you need to be reminded of, and this is of course how it works. This is not me saying that I agree with it. This is me saying that I understand why it exists, because there are different factors for this, because this itself is a shit test. One of the original internet shit tests, along with the internet fuckwad theory, or gift for short. You want to establish the privilege of being made special. So, you'll be reminded of the fact that you aren't special, and we will demonstrate that you know that you are not special by doing something that should be comparative to the most emasculating and or humiliating thing that you could do. The most humiliating thing that a woman could be referred to as is to be understood and referred to as a woman. So, you get mad, you tell me, shut the fuck up, Carl, you can't tell me what to do. I then tell you, go to the kitchen, make me a sandwich. That, along with tits or get the fuck out, is me establishing a shit test. You want me to give you my attention, and you want me to make myself small for you. Therefore, you must identify the fact that the only reason why you want to try to flex this is because you are attempting to reclaim the social power of being a woman that can decide that society halts at your woman leisure. The equivalent of you accusing me of being a monster. Ironic, because this actually happened the other night, literally last night actually, inside of Dev's server when I was invited by Jay Funky to go play Marvel Rivals, as I have now put up Marvel Rival as a part of my plan that I had planned for my content strategy in March.
Woo.
2 people attempted to try and use mealy-mouth sheep language to try and bully me into silence by accusing me of being a tryhard. Now, the problem was that they didn't like my personality. I have a strong personality. They bounced off my strong personality. They crashed out. They got mad. They accused me of being somebody who had flipped the table. I shit-tested them, and they failed the shit test, which then led to a moderator trying to step in on their behalf, who was in their friend group, who tried to flex his mod power to try and tell me that I should let them win. Now, everyone witnessed this. We all laughed at it. It was hilarious. The situation itself has now been resolved. Not a big deal. But the comparative point to what she is doing is the same thing that would happen there. 2 people try to use a projection and a appeal to sincerity and an appeal to embarrassment to attempt to make me feel out of place in a video game that I have started playing, that while I might not be the freshest of fresh, I was new enough that I did not have the kind of experience that I would have in something like League. Rather than pull on my streamer cred or any of that, I simply said, bro, I'm playing the game like I would normally play. This is not abnormal callouts. I'm literally making information. Didn't say that your pick was bad. I said it's probably not working out as well, but here's how we could try to make it work. And coming up with plans on the fly because I'm not trying to control you. Just like a woman that could say, you should give me attention because I'm a woman. You should treat me special because I'm a woman. The equivalent of tits and get the fuck out is to address the fact that nobody cares. So the streamer quality of that would be like saying, bro, you should listen to me. I'm broadcasting right now. I'm live on air. And the correct response in that situation would be, nobody cares about your stream, bro. Nobody gives a fuck about that. You're not special. Right? You want to be considered special. People are then going to address that they do not care about that. Rather than the difference of, you go into the voice chat lobby, you're playing in a match of a video game, or you're in some type of community, you make some type of out-of-pocket comment, or somebody makes some type of comment, you then comment back to them, they then comment back to you, and the person who tries to pull rank first gets mocked. Attempting at all, in any way possible, throat dry. Attempting in any way all possible to put the onus on the person you are accusing of being a monster implies and proves the rule of why women would get ridiculed. Because this is where the fake gamer girl came in. This is where the evolution of the I know more than you, I've forgotten more than you ever will remember and learn about this game shit came in. You do not get to come into a social circle, or specifically a greater audience, and dictate that you need to control the levers of power because you want people to give you opportunities and access that you have not yet earned. Fuck all that. That's not important. We're not dealing with that. That is clearly bullshit. To that edge, it is important that you accept that you clearly wanted an investment and a breakdown of shit that otherwise was not important to you. So, in the 90s, when girls would try to antagonize boys and say, you should give me your stuff in this video game, carry me through dungeons and I'll go out with you. And then she's accumulating all this wealth from simps, giving them the time and breath of air. This would then what people would then tell her, no, I'm not just gonna do free shit for you. Tits, get the fuck out. The entire point was not specifically to just antagonize women, because it could happen to guys too. It was to demonstrate that you are not special, and you're just another fucking person in the bunch. And if you want to have attention given to you because of clout, you actually have to earn your right to speak. So, the only time in the 90s that this was afforded to people was usually the game designers or the creator of the publication. So, the likes of id Software, people like John Romero, and the likes of them. In this time, people like Gabe, good old Gabe, people like Notch, people like Toby Fox, and then in audiences where they have made a name for themselves, being loyal to their core audience and to their core philosophy, people like Maximilian Dude for fighting games, people like myself for cerebral, high-pressure, skill-based, skill-match systems, or any other person that could build themselves up in an audience. Doesn't matter if it's Pokemon, because we're talking about Pokemon. Doesn't matter if it's Digimon or the like. The only time you are afforded that is when you have earned the right to say and talk your shit. You have not, and you clearly do not understand the reason why that is the case, but that's okay. You're Brazilian. Why would I expect you to understand the mutation of American zeitgeist and American lexicons and behaviors? It is what it is. To which end, I ask you, Struggler, in your regular gameplay loop, what would you say is the biggest audience that you pull on? Would it be Destiny?
It's usually a mixture between Destiny, Warframe. I have been into Rivals for a little bit.
Okay. So, let's use Marvel Rivals as an example, because it's a team-based game where a person who just starts acting belligerent on the microphone is more than likely going to be ignored and treated like a troll. Let's say you start a match, and you've got a player that is on Spider-Man, and you're playing whatever the fuck. Clearly, the Spider-Man pick is performing well. They haven't said anything. They've been nothing but positive. They've made call-outs and pings that have been useful. They've done their job. They hit the enemy with the GG, well played, and they drop their Twitch. Somebody then says to them, bro, nobody's gonna play your fucking, gonna go to your goddamn fucking stream, bro. Oh my god. And they reply saying, I don't understand why you're upset. You guys played well. Who do you think is more out of pocket? The Spider-Man player or the people trying to react to the chat of the Spider-Man player?
Obviously the one that reacting to chat on that.
Right. Because the problem is, of course, different when we're talking about the kind of things compared to now. But let's try to compare them fairly. If we want to attribute this to the same thing as women are just treated poorly on the internet, they're not given the time of air to have the chance to get to know things or do things the way that they want, you would assume that the Spider-Man would be out of line for having linked a Twitch chat, with the intention being to get engagement, to go to the live streams, to talk to other people, and them to engage with their content and their audience to thus grow their platform off that engagement in a social video game that has a community full of players that are expected to learn how to play the game well and learn how to play well with others. However, in that instance, the person who's in the wrong is whoever tries to be toxic to the person who has shown good sportsmanship, not only as a good ally, but also as a good enemy. Because if it is a game, you win, lose, or draw, the lobby is the lobby, the match is the match. If you all did your best, and you played well, and it's not even ranting or banter, because banter is an entirely separate topic, the person in the wrong is the one who acts emotional. They would get mocked. Now, let's say the role was inversed. Instead, the Spider-Man might be the best performing player, but they're also the most ranted and toxic one involved. They're spamming through the microphone, they're spamming the voice chat, they're spamming the personal chat, they're spamming the game chat, and they're just being an outright obnoxious person. And then everybody, from your ally to your enemy, are calling out that person. And the reason they drop their Twitch VOD is for them to try and rage bait you to go into their chat room to give them free clicks and give them free credit. Who would be in the wrong there?
Definitely the guy trying to rage bait me, which I would just hit mute.
Yes. It works both ways, but obviously, any person who would be responsible, if you want to be the most considerate and most whole on what the actual answer is, the correct answer in the second situation is everyone who allowed the situation to go further than simply addressing it yourself and hitting the mute button. If you want to say on the most individual basis of, hey, this guy's just acting straight crazy and straight wild, I don't want to be associated with it, I don't even care to report him, I don't want to see him banned, I just don't want to be a part of it, hit avoid teammate and then just go next in the lobby. Hit the mute button, deal with it. Simple. If it's because someone set them off, and thus they defended themselves, because even if they are toxic, they are performing and they are winning, and the reason why they got obnoxious was somebody else told them, bro, your Spider-Man is so ass, you're so bad, and then they locked in, now we're talking about an entirely different perspective. Because now, from that Spider-Man's view, because I experienced this multiple times, Jesus, Spider-Man is so fun. So mechanical, but so fun. If you tell me I'm ass, I'm bad, why don't I just switch off my pick, you're garbage, you're trash, and I lock in, and now I'm giving back to you what you gave me, now that's different. Now the Spider-Man, while he has the spirit, and he might be emotionally in the wrong, he's just following gamer culture. Because you were talking shit first, he just returned the shit talk, now it's going back and forth. Everybody's got a hand in that. But that is what women are experiencing. They didn't want to go through the rough and tumble environment of the back and the forth. They wanted what came with the specialization of getting the attention. And that's just wrong. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who started it. It matters how you finish it. And for the longest time, women, when it came to video games, the people who were speaking up for you as a gender, not the best. Some better than others, but not the best in general. Same shit exists now with content creators and streamers. Not the best. Not the best representation. Not the best jump in. Not the best people to talk about it. So, like, cope, seethe, stop lying to people, literally learn what the fuck you're talking about, especially bringing up the woke gamer list. Some of the games on that list, because sure, you have the SBI list about the games that you should avoid, but then you also have the woke game detected list, full of games that DEI is when they have political themes. Avoid Bioshock, avoid Bioshock 2, avoid Fallout 3, avoid Fallout 4.
It's fucking stupid.
Stupid. Because obviously there's a difference between Metal Gear Solid, Bioshock, and Bioshock 2 and Bioshock Infinite, and doing a Family Guy skit where you've put a horse in a dress with an orange wig and you have called it the Drumpler. Not knowing the difference between mocking and antagonization done to mimic hatred of a topic and the people who think like that, and mocking them in effigy, and considering deep political themes that are being discussed as a part of the narrative, they're not the same. Treating them as though they are means you are missing all the point. Alright, cool. Glad we talked about that. Back to the audience with you!
Shout out to Christina for that evergreen meme, by the way.
Yes. It remains evergreen no matter what we do. He lives in you! Right, let's keep moving forward.
The 2000s. Gaming.
As the time is now 5 o'clock, I would like to start movie night at 6. So we've got about, I'd say, 30-ish minutes, because I got some things I need to do in between then.
Was heavily marketed at boys. It was an overwhelmingly male-dominated space. And this was the case even with Nintendo games in the USA, in very, very weird ways. As fellow content creator Randy Moon goes over in their video, why were video game ads so weird?
Therefore, they decided to go with the by then
Of course, it's another fucking female. Mao.
and well-proven method of advertising the handheld to a primarily male college-aged audience. And this is evident in just how sexual a lot of the ads were. Exhibit A.
Touch me.
Wow, very suggestive and hot. I would have loved to be a fly on the wall in the meeting where they came up with that one.
But do you know what would happen when something that was initially marketed at boys turned out to have some aspects that were a little bit more girl-friendly, exactly what happened to Jennifer's Body in 2007, a horror movie written by the incredible Diablo Cody that was marketed as a wow, Megan Fox is so hot movie, but it was actually a feminist tale of body ownership and female friendship aimed at young women.
It was definitely not a feminist trying to find ways to make lesbianism look cool ever since fake lesbians tattoo. That's definitely not what was happening there.
Was review bombed, universally hated, and almost ended Diablo Cody's career. This is a video about Chikorita, I know, but this was me setting the stage, dear stranger line.
Yeah, you set the stage poorly. None of these points connect to each other to be relevant, and your way of making this persuasive argument is fucking dog shit.
The picture of the cultural background around gaming and around Pokemon in the United States.
I mean, you're not talking about the cultural background around gaming. You just used an example about the cultural background behind the zeitgeist and cinephiles. If you wanted to do about around the background of gaming, you'd have to actually use games, nigga. You did not try to use the GAM campaign outside of when you started talking about the campaigns they did for Nintendo products. Because the time period between the Nintendo 64, GameCube, and then the handheld generation, moving from the Game Boy to the Game Boy Color to the Game Boy Advance to the Game Boy SP, which was just the Game Boy Advance with a better setup, which would then be the module standard that we'd use for the Nintendo dual screen, bringing in then the bulky Nintendo DS, and then eventually the one that sold like hotcakes, the DS Lite. Essentializing backwards compatibility for a former model and the innovation of current upper yesteryear, with material that would not have been out of place to push WarioWare games onto people. You did not cover that whatsoever. But you know what? That's alright. That's alright. Moving forward.
At the turn of the millennium. I'm trying to say that, mostly in the early 2000s, having something made for girls in the middle of your boy product would result in hate, bullying, shames, jokes, you name it. It happened to Koha and it happened to Ellie.
Oh! They're not the same! Stop lying!
And yes, Pokemon was marketed mainly at boys back then. If you look at early Pokemon commercials, only boys would appear in them.
Okay, bro, I don't know about you, but having little old fucking baby-faced Drake Bell being the face of a campaign for the franchise mascot that is an electric mouse that is cute as fuck is literally an example of bringing the children together to love the Pokemon, okay? That is literally something that you claim as male-coded that is still going to bring in a female audience because of the electric mouse and all the other mascot Pokemon in this Pocket Monster franchise.
But the Nintendo of America marketing team is not Game Freak. Oh no, back in Japan, the Pokemon Company had other ideas of where this series was heading to. And before Gen 2 came out, this was something that showed mainly in the anime. I have said this in some videos before, but I cannot stress enough how important the gender neutrality of the Pokemon anime was in the 90s. In a context where most animes would show buff guys with spiky hair fighting or sword-wielding knights saving the princess.
If you do not like the fucking shonen anime, stop watching the shonen anime and stop saying that the entire industry is suffering because you only watch one type of fucking genre. Oh my god.
Pokemon was really ahead of its time by showing girls, feminine girls or tomboys with desires, aspirations of their own.
Kappa. Listen guys, it was innovative, it was interesting. They had storylines, they had female characters. The female characters threw Pokeballs. Every single fucking time!
Girls who, despite what they looked like, were incredibly skilled trainers and fully fledged characters. I would argue, even more importantly than that, femininity was never mocked in the Pokemon anime. It was okay to have feminine coded and—
No, there were times it was mocked. It was that they were mocked equally. You know why? There was this team. They were the slapstick trio. They were called Team Rocket.
Interests. It was—
Not to mention when the characters themselves were mocking situation. You know, with the lecherous lover boy who actively needs to be held back by the woman of the group, telling Brock to get his bitch ass off of every Nurse Joy and Officer Jenny.
Celebrated even. Femininity was embraced, openly discussed by Misty, Erica, Jessie, and Brock and James. And I mean, it's the 90s, some things would be off, sure, but it was miles ahead of almost everything for kids on TV back then. And this was incredibly important to many girls growing up back then, and they made sure to comment about it in a bunch of my videos before. The first Pokemon games were stitched together with duct tape and a dream, but for the sequel, you can really feel that Game Freak wanted to expand. And that expansion would include everyone. Chikorita debuted in the same generation that girls could play as themselves on screen, and I cannot stress how important the addition of Chris was that early into the series. The protagonist in Pokemon is almost always a self-insert, and having girls being able to play with someone closer to themselves was really important for the game staying as popular as it did.
I'm pretty sure the thing that was more important is that as they're playing a franchise that would eventually have multiple audiences, giving themselves the equivalent of the new Type A and new Type B was just a way to give you the chance to be more deeply and further involved, because technology evolved alongside them. I roll, I roll, I roll, I roll, I roll. I roll.
But not only Chris, creature design in Pokemon was also starting to head in new directions. Lead designer Ken Sugimori has said before in interviews that his approach for creating Pokemon was always closer to kaiju rather than kawaii. This interview here was given shortly after the Gold and Silver releases. With Pokemon, it was more that I wanted to create kaiju who could fight on your side as an ally, in a more cartoonish, exaggerated style. As I drew more and more of them, I started to figure out how to give them more interesting expressions, or to make them look dopey or disgusting. I wasn't the only person creating Pokemon. There were 5 or 6 other designers working on them too. As you can imagine, each designer had a certain style or type of Pokemon that was their specialty. One of them was great at making cute Pokemon, another one was all about the weird Pokemon, and so forth. If you allow me to read a little bit between the lines here, when he talks about a designer that has cuteness as their specialty, Atsuko Nishida comes to mind. When Sugimori saw he had difficulties in creating cute Pokemon, he called Nishida to help, and she ended up creating the most iconic Gen 1 designs.
So, literally, as the example, as on the screen,
comes to mind.
The woman designed the cute Pokemon that people really liked, including literally Pikachu, the series mascot and most recognizable Pokemon out of the entire global Pokedex. Damn! That's crazy! Oh, amazing! So, like, so now you can stop lying now, right? Nah, we finna keep going. It's okay.
Mori saw he had difficulties in creating cute Pokemon, he called Nishida to help, and she ended up creating the most iconic Gen 1 designs, such as Pikachu, the full starter trio, and Charizard. I looked very hard, but I couldn't find out if she was involved in the creation of the Generation 2 starter trio, but having created Charmander, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle, it's hard to think that she wasn't a major voice for the sequel. I did find this interview on Dr. Lava's blog, which is the most incredible source for English language Game Freak interviews online. In this one, Nishida talks about the creation of Sylveon and Espeon, and I think this gives great insight into the creative process behind Gen 2. Ms. Nishida, do you feel like there's an evolution that really went in a new direction? Of course, each Pokemon is influenced by the region and configuration of the game they are created for, but as far as innovation, I would say Sylveon. We really wanted to emphasize its fairy theme. As far as its figure, were they all kind of girly like the Sylveon we have now? And Nishida says, yeah, they were all the same style since it's a fairy type. Speaking of being feminine, Espeon also has that same kind of vibe. It's very slim and even has hips, which was quite unique for its time. I guess in trying to make it look mysterious, it ended up looking feminine. I think it's really interesting to hear Atsuko Nishida say that ending up with a feminine design was unique for its time. Gen 2. It shows that this was kind of uncharted territory, right? This wasn't a big concern for Pokemon in Gen 1, but Gen 2? Now we want to actively start to create some creatures for the girls to use, for the people who would choose Chris as their character.
Now, it's very important that for context, you understand that they are competing against things like Yokai Watch as well as Digimon. All of the designs that follow the exact same type of evolution, that was the same shit happening over at Digimon, but it was never a question about whether or not something was made to be girly or not. Of course, this is where you get into Yu-Gi-Oh! And their desire to have characters that basically have panty lines and shit like that. Again, I'm not taking the flag of Pokemon Frontier. However, that is not what she said. What she said was, she ended up making a design that in trying to make a Pokemon that looked mysterious, I ended up making them look feminine. That's the black cat standard, bro. That's the black cat standard. What she took away from there is that certain types of designs, when designed the way that they were, would evocate a feminine energy because of the way that women in society can be understood. But you know, right over your head.
With Gen 2, Game Freak wanted girls to better see themselves in their games and have their own Pokemon adventures. And of course, if you want to have girls playing, you have to make at least one of the starters one that they might identify more with. And yes, we had our Clefairies and Chanseys before, but with Chikorita, it's a bit different. She's being offered to you, you can't avoid her. And to choose a starter Pokemon is to actively reject the other two, and that makes it a more special encounter than if you randomly ran into it in a cave. There's a tiny emotional bond, a small moment that you may have considered bringing Chikorita alongside you. And how dare they imply that I would ever consider choosing this girly pair? And if you, as a boy, did consider Chikorita, liked Chikorita, or chose Chikorita, you would also be mocked and judged and suffer the same backlash that Twilight did. In this male-dominated environment,
still lying,
a boy was never allowed to validate that something marketed for girls could actually be good. For a boy.
No, they were. You weren't there to find out because you weren't involved. And you're still lying.
Boy, everything that was more female-oriented was forbidden and out of reach. So you had to double down. You had to prove you would never ever choose it. Because Chikorita sucks. It's the worst starter of all time.
Okay, but you see, I am my own individual, and I have my own opinions, and I am not a sheep. So...
And in the comment section below, there will be a lot of people writing that what I'm trying to imply is silly. That Chikorita could never be a victim of misogyny because in the games, they have 80% chance of being male, like, LOL. And to that I say, well, gender is not really about...
So you already knew what was coming, and you just tried to save that like it was supposed to be a fucking gotcha. That is -5 billion points for Gryffindor.
Out an arbitrary symbol they put next to your name. Gender is about how you are perceived by others. Not only, but also. The Pokemon anime has also depicted Ash's Chikorita with a very feminine coded personality, very attached and emotional, which also builds the public image of the Pokemon. And if that's not...
You know, like the pocket monster, the pet that it is.
Not good enough of an explanation for you, well, I can tell you that in international dubs, every single starter has a masculine article before their name. El Bulbasaur, Ulcindaquil, Chikorita was the first starter ever, and maybe the last one, to have a feminine article used before their name. La Chikorita. But how do I explain the fact that a lot of feminine-looking Pokemon are actually fan favorites, such as Gardevoir and Lapuny? But I'm not really talking about feminine Pokemon. I'm talking about Pokemon that are designed for girls to identify with, and there's a difference there, right? You get it. You see that there are different reasons why someone, specifically a teenage boy, might like the femininity in Gardevoir but be repulsed by the femininity in Chikorita. You understand that we're talking about different kinds of gazes, right? I know you have more things you want to say. I see you typing in the comment section. You are going to say that I'm reading too much into it, that the reason why...
Yes, you are. Where are you going with this?
Why more people dislike Chikorita than usual is because of bad stats and mediocre performance against Johto trainers, and yes, let's get into that. I will be going by the article written by Vida Treinador, fellow Brazilian creator, where they list some of these reasons. So yes, Chikorita's typing in Johto is unfortunate. She's weak against Faulkner and Budsy, weak against many of the poison types brought by Team Rocket. Her move pool in Gold and Silver is really limited, and Wolf Glick has named Meganium the worst starter ever in competitive VGC. But I mean, really? Is that what we take into account when choosing a Pokemon? Is that what a kid takes into account when liking a starter? Competitive viability and type balancing in their region?
Probably, yeah, because boys are competitive. And they also would spend a lot of their time optimizing things. That's what boys do. They obsess, they perfect. Not only that, but they obsess and they perfect so that when they show the boys, they can be impressive. Hey guys, look at this shit that I did. You don't understand, young man.
Because I myself never Googled that before choosing a starter. I have always chosen the Pokemon I have identified the most with, that I thought had a cooler or cuter design. And also, have you played Gold and Silver recently? Every single Pokemon has a horrible move pool in those games. Speaking of it, do Faulkner and Bugsy even have stab moves in Gen 2? Honestly, if your Chikorita is struggling against a Pidgey and a Kakuna, I personally think that might be a skill issue. I actually think it is miles easier to solo Faulkner with a Chikorita than to solo Brock with a Charmander. Charmander is weak against the first two counter gyms, and that was never an issue. Greninja usage in VGC in 2015 was 1%. That never stopped them from being fan favorites, and they never received an inch of the backlash Chikorita has received.
Because the fans of that don't act like you. Duh!
Know which other starters were victims of backlash when they were released? Delphox, who has its design heavily inspired by medieval witches and mages. Primarina, back when
Okay, but that's cap.
Sun and Moon were released, had an intense negative reaction to it. Popplio was already disliked, but evolving into a mermaid? The Pokemon community couldn't deal with that. Are you seeing a pattern here? Something I really remember, and I wish I could find more material from 2014 to show, is how much of an intense backlash the introduction of the fairy type was. People said it would ruin the game, completely break the balance of the type charts, and that it didn't make any sense that the all-powerful, masculine, mighty dragons were all of a sudden weak to Jigglypuff. And fellow queer content creator Fawn said something really interesting about fairy types.
I roll. Bring these motherfuckers back in because you want them to try and get some clout off this video. Ah!
In their video that also discusses Chikorita hate, which is amazing and definitely a companion piece to this one, and you should watch after.
Attributing a type to the aesthetic helps to validate it in the space, in the community, and with the fans. The developer said, yes, there's girly pop Pokemon, and they're quite strong.
And I completely agree with that. Making the fairy type as strong competitively as Game Freak has chosen to means not only to validate femininity in Pokemon, it is to say there is power in femininity, enough to take down legends and dragons, and I think that's awesome. And to remind you, dear stranger online.
But that is literally a psyop of some culture war shit, bro. Oh my god, these characters are queer, therefore they deserve to serve. Ha! Ha! Literally, again, we're back at the RuPaul point. Gay culture being pushed by gay men, and you desperately saying that because the Pokemons are girling, that makes them good. Just like the hurricane Katrina!
I'm not trying to say that something is definitely sexism or not, or that one thing is 100% this or that. I'm rehearsing. I'm entertaining an idea, and these are things that have happened over the last 20 years.
Okay, they happen, but how are they relevant? Not the same thing as a persuasive argument. Because your argument amounts to, people hate Chikorita because they don't understand the gays. No, I understand the gays, that's why some of us don't like the gays. Do not cite the old arcane gay to me. I was there when it was edged, sister.
I'm not saying that only feminine additions to the Pokemon franchise are hated. There has been different types of starters backlash before, like the ever-present firefighting Bipedal Fan Evolution. But it's interesting to look for patterns, right? Why Chikorita still receives such a disproportionate amount of hate? Does it have anything to do to things that have happened before? Not only in Pokemon, but in...
This is so open shut that you've spent a lot of time trying to be persuasive about shit that otherwise is not important. You know why. You saw some examples of them.
In all culture that surrounds it, the only person that can come up with a conclusion is you. But what I would argue is that gaming has changed. The internet has changed, and the way that Pokemon is marketed has definitely changed. We've been through a pandemic, a market crash, Pokemon Go happened. Culture today is really different from culture in 1999. The demographic of the Pokemon community online is also wildly different from what it was in 1999. And the way women and gender non-conforming people have claimed spaces in the online community for themselves makes it so that the configuration is very different today than it was in 1999. Today, we can have Pokemon like Tinkaton become instant fan favorites, or Meowscarada be one of the most celebrated starters. Pokemon that are, yes, designed for girls, instead of just feminine Pokemon designed for a male gaze.
Why can't they just be designed for fun? Why do they need to be designed for the gays? Why do they need to be designed for women? Can't you just design them and then like what you like? This desire to stamp your flag in the ground has not gone unnoticed.
Because the Pokemon community has become much more inclusive and welcoming and diverse than it was in 1999. But I think memory persists, right? Time is a funny thing. You might have a negative reaction to something 20 years later because, in the past, you were scared of being judged by your friends for picking the girly starter. And I think that's something important for us to talk about, not just ridicule as a crazy idea, and that's why I'm making this video. I think that you can have a myriad of reasons for why you dislike Chikorita. Either because you had a hard time using her in Johto, or because you didn't like its moves, or simply and purely because you don't vibe with the design, and that's fine. But I think that for a few people, there might be some roots in an old, gamer, misogynistic culture from the 2000s that complains about female character designs, that complains about female character protagonists, and we see that in our daily lives using the internet. We know these people exist, and I don't think it's a stretch to think that this also applies.
Once again, cultural argument detected. It is more important for people to notice that the same time at which they wanted to try and stop pushing the male protagonist, you attempted to change the entire industry to befit the male feminist and also access media journalist cottage industry model. And by pushing for female protagonists with nearly the erasure of all male protagonists, it was a marketed move by people attempting to replace something that did not need to be replaced, and by over-sensationalizing men who are now posing themselves to write women better, but not promoting the women who just wrote men and women better because they wrote better characters. You missing the forest for not just the tree, but the entire fucking grove.
Applies to a little grass starter. And also, something that I think is really important for this video is that I always try to remind people, not everything is made for you. Not everything is made for me. Really, and that's fine. I think algorithm...
It is not fine, because if it was fine, we would not be here! You would not be coping! You would have said, damn, that's crazy. I can't believe they don't like Chikorita. What happened to... I don't know why these niggas don't like my favorite cabbage bean. My favorite cabbage bean is fun and it's great. Now I'm gonna go play the video game. We wouldn't be here if you did that. But you didn't.
Showing us curated posts made by people we don't follow, or videos from YouTubers we never heard of, that might make us forget that the people who made these things maybe didn't make it specifically for us. Maybe I'm just not the audience for that. And that's fine. When Game Freak chooses a set of starters, they are not choosing them to please me, Cecily. They might be choosing them to please Gen 1 fans, or Unova fans, or young teenage girls, or the developers themselves. We need to always remember, not everything that exists on the internet is tailor-made for me, just because it showed up in my timeline. And something else that I learned from this channel is that it is true. Every single Pokemon is someone's favorite. That's not a hyperbole. It's not worth to dunk on any Pokemon at all, because there will always be someone in the comments who loves them, or has a special story with them.
So, never have an opinion, never post your opinion, never talk about things, never share your joy and love, because if we extrapolate that opinion all the way down to the bottom, You should never show pleasure about anything because there'll always be a person with a negative opinion. It's not worth putting your opinion out there. Just ignore, 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 ignore. Buy, sell, 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 sell. And consume. Consume product and get excited for the next product. Boring, no, boring. Build community by having friction, by bouncing off of each other with ideas. You build those opinions stronger by demonstrating that they can be able to stand the test of time of arguments that have demonstration. Boring.
Even Pokemon like Veluza sniping me down at light speed in Casseroya Lake. There will be someone who loves them. In the end, it's just personal taste. And if it's not for me, then it's certainly for someone else. A lot has changed in this community since Chikorita was introduced, and I really hope she gets an incredible upgrade in Pokemon Legends EA. Whether it's access to Rage Powder, a nice regional form, or a broken Mega Evolution, because this little pair is really special to me. I really hope, as Fawn has said, that the Fairy type comes in to upgrade this Pokemon that has for way too long held the title of most hated starter, for reasons I think are super unfair. And I think that's why the diversity of designs in Pokemon is so amazing. Because for a small girl that will be given Chikorita as a choice for the first time in Legends EA, seeing that this lead Pokemon, a Pokemon that was designed with her in mind, can also be powerful, can be a healer, can be a tank, and can be really fun to play with.
And what about that little boy who loves Coochie? And he loves Coochie the correct amount. And he goes and he gets the Chikorita. And he gets the Chikorita up because he basically is Johnny Bravo fucking around with a Pokemon. What happens then? Is that little boy invalidated? Apparently. Eye roll.
Is what Pokemon is all about. Because Pokemon is for girls. Pokemon is for gender non-conforming people. Pokemon is for everyone.
If Pokemon is for everyone, then you don't need to explicitly say that it's for the girls, the gays, and the queers. It would just be for everyone. And you would tell people to enjoy it the way that you want. Eye roll. What a rage bait video. Pointless. Time. Shit, 5:30. All right, so that's gonna be the end for today, unfortunately. I still need to handle some things. If I end up not handling them in time, and we end up not doing movie night today, I will be pushing it to the weekend of next week. There are just certain things that are happening that I don't have control over that I need to get managed out of the way. There will be a Dare Drop stream probably on Tuesday or Wednesday. Community group gaming will definitely be in effect for learning about Marvel Rivals for me. Playing with Amy and whoever else I can get to join the rotation of the group. Been having fun with that game off camera, on camera. I leveled my account from 1 to 9 last night. I stopped short of 10 just because it was really late in the day and I needed to get up for today, and clearly that had an effect on me. But there's also some other shit that's happening because of course there was a storm that passed through, so I need to go do housework and go move tree limbs and shit. But also other shit as well that I do not want to talk about simply because it is gay and autistic. Basically, people trying to throw weight around that should not have tried to throw weight around and shit. But that also, too, has technically been seen through for the most part. But I gotta touch bases with those people and follow through on that. Also, we are in the middle of March now. So, remember, at the top of April will be South of Midnight. And we did hit the cap for this month. So, monies for that are being put aside. And then we will be going through, and I will probably set up a poll of some of the games that I have on my projected waiting list, and we'll be seeing through that. One of the games that was on my list for 2025, Fragfest, has dropped, so that will be something for me to look into as well. That will be for a potential community group gaming stream for us to play as well. Lots of things on the docket, as well as I am working and finalizing the Avowed review. Unlike the review that I had to do for Shooting Insight, this one I'm putting a little bit more time clicking in because they dropped 2 patches that actually solved something that would have been addressed inside of the review. But I'm making sure to update those sections as needed for the context that they are relevant to and the format of what they are designed around. For the most part, things are good. Life things are good. Family is good for the most part. Other things are good. There are no deep concerns. I'm just communicating and letting you all know what's going on, as is the point of this stream. And, once again, thank you for watching. I'm an African American. I'm an African American, and I'm just doing what I can. Join the audience. If you are not getting 3/4 of 3/5 to the Carls of the gallon, you have to fill up your tank with pure Carl Premium. Join the Discord, become a member of the audience, give the black man your money, and do your thing. There will be hell diving. That is another thing that is happening. That'll probably be the last 2 weeks of March. Because I'm giving myself about maybe a week to get good at Marvels. Because I can't do the rest of the month, of course. We've ground the fuck out of Hunter, out of Wilds. So, you'll probably see less Wilds content now. Especially since I was able to put up the guide that I did as a part of the VOD. And then I'm cutting that VOD to turn also into a video. There will probably be hell diving in the last 2 weeks of the month. So I can get into the cycle of the game. So I'll be seeing people like Bolster in that there. That'll go out when that goes live. And then everything else will be gearing up for South of Midnight and getting into that rotation shit. So anywho, I'm gonna go do those things that I algorithmically need to do. Support the stream in all the algorithmic ways, and I will see you guys next time if I do not get to see you later tonight for movie night. Alright? Alright. Cool. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.